Oh god, where the hell am I? I was in my bed, and all of a sudden, the lightning struck through my roof for some reason. Oh no. Oh gosh, that's medieval clothing. I'm in another world, aren't I? Well, but at least the day has come, and anime has taught me how to get through all this, so there's obviously a convenient adventure guide here, or in my brain, that's telling me that this adventure may have language and situations that are not suitable for all audiences, and that adventurer's discretion is advised. It also tells me that spoilers for That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime up to episode 12 may and will occur, as well as any spoilers for any other anime series. So if you want to go on this adventure, go back to the guild and watch or read that stuff, then come out here to, level up and crap. And finally, it says that any opinions expressed in tonight's episodes are that of the individual members of the Dub Talk Podcast Guild, and do not represent the Podcast Guild as a whole. Alright, well, in level 1, and might as well do something. I mean, there's a slime over there I can go... Why is it telling me that it's going to come at me, brah? Why does it know what brah means? Oh god, no, get away from me! Ah! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, slimes of all colors, welcome to the Dub Talk Podcast, a show where a group of 4 nerds get irrevocably murdered and talked to by magic Google Siri and sent to another world to help protect all of the monsters and creatures in it. I am your great hostess, Keejin Megan, and to my left, I have Direwolf Roots.
Awoo? Hi.
God damn it, honey!
Wow, that was quick.
God!
I'm awkward.
I know, honey. Fuck!
You wanna try that again?
Good night, everybody.
Honey! No, we're keeping it. It's better this way. We have Dwarf Jet.
Yeah, I got nothing, I'm sorry.
And we have Hobgoblin Andrew.
Hey, yo, I had some poison mushrooms and now I died, but I got better and now I'm poison resistant. Yahoo!
Fucking Christ. This is already off to an amazing start.
Oh, Christ almighty. So yeah, Team Grimgar is
Guys,
back, motherfucker.
would you let me do my goddamn job?
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Let me do my goddamn job. Tonight, Team Grimgar is back in action as we once again tackle everyone's least favorite genre in anime, Isekai. But, have we found the one that is actually good and wholesome and doesn't have slavery? Why yes, tonight we are going to talk about the 2018 anime, That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. The story is as follows. Satoru Miku... Fuck! I forgot to write down the plot synopsis, god damn it! Well, time to do this myself. The story of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime follows Satoru, a 37-year-old man who has never gotten any, who gets stabbed and murdered when his coworker tries to take him out for a nice dinner to show off his girlfriend. In his dying moments, he wishes for a lot of things, and magical Google Siri, aka the Great Sage, hears him, reincarnating him as a slime. But this slime is smarter than the average slime and learns how to do shit like absorb things, and eventually comes upon a great dragon named Veldora. Veldora has been trapped in a cave for 300 years by a great hero who put a seal on there. Becoming Veldora's friend, the slime gets a name, Rimuru Tempest. Basically absorbs the dragon, causing a large power vacuum in a forest. And essentially the story goes on how Rimuru becomes the world's greatest boss. Tonight we are going to be covering the first 12 episodes of the Funimation Simuldub. That means we are only going up to episode 12, nothing beyond. There will be no spoilers for anything beyond episode 12. We do not know what happens. By the time this goes up, I think probably the show might be almost done. I don't know who's editing this.
Yeah, I mean, technically I do know because I'm picking up with the simulcast, but I'll stay quiet.
Well, 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 look who's the smart one of our animals here.
I mean,
I'm kidding, Jed, I love you.
He's a dwarf. He knows how to build things from nothing. He knows what to do.
Wait a minute. So this is a show about a slime learning to become a boss. Is this how Mafia works?
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck! I kind of made you pull that off!
That's how Mafia works!
Oh, Jesus Christ. I was thinking, you know, this kind of sounds like the world's happiest mobster family, but then, this is gonna be a weird night, I can already tell. But I'm excited.
This is gonna be fun. Jesus Christ. I've missed doing episodes with these assholes.
Hey. Yeah.
I'm still not over. Woo? Alright, so rather than beat around the bush, let's dive right into this other world with our director, our assistant directors, and the writer of this, because this is a, I guess, review of the first 12 episodes, and frankly, I don't remember my fucking predictions anyway. We're not gonna be doing predictions, besides, we have a long enough cast list as it is. Dot dot. This show has a huge ensemble. So, starting off, our main director of this series is one unknown independent director named Clifford Chapin. I don't know if anybody's heard of him or not. I guess. His assistant directors are Brittany Lauda for episodes 6 through 11 and Felicia Angel for episode 11. And the main writer of this series is one Kristen McGuire. Clifford Chapin, you will know for directing small independent series SSSS Gridman. Anyone heard of that?
I don't know. I mean, I hear the main girl, and that is the worst.
So, sounds like a show that nobody's heard of. I'm just kidding. I fucking love it.
Oh my god.
I mean, is it even really a Trigger show?
What?
Is it even really a Trigger show? I heard they didn't even go to space.
They went to cyberspace. Anyways.
Close enough. And Chio School Road. Brittany Lauda has assistant directed on series such as Angels of Death and The Morose Mononokean, and Felicia Angel has directed series such as Puzzles and Dragons X, as well as being an assistant director on Grimgar, Ashes and Illusions / Fantasy and That Ass, you may! And Kristen McGuire has... That was the first, like, okay, like, legit, I think it's been almost 2 years since the first time, like, the four of us have actually recorded together.
I feel like it's been 3 now.
Is it 3? Yeah, was it 20? Yeah, it was 2016, wasn't it?
3 years, motherfucker.
Holy shit, we've been a group for 3 years.
And, like,
happy 3-year anniversary, guys!
Woo! And, like, I think this was...
And Chris...
I think Grimgar was, like, the first episode I recorded with you, too, Megan.
Aww, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
so
okay.
So what's Kristen done?
I don't know, some show called Magical Girl Raising Project? Okay, I can't actually be mean to her about that. That is her pride and joy. Mm-hmm. She has written for shows such as Magical Girl Raising Project, as well as interviews with Monster Girls.
I love that.
So we're going to... Gee, I wonder why. Anyway... I'm going to absorb this cookie. And while I do that, we're going to do this in the order of Roots, Jet, Andrew, and then myself. Because obviously the 2 big windbags of the show should go last. So, Roots of Justice, a woo away.
Alright, yeah, the direction's pretty solid. It's kind of a weird show, because it kind of goes between, like, the serious kind of isekai tropey material, and then it's also, like, a screwball comedy in the background. So, I'm really glad that, like, Clifford Chapin and both of the assistant directors are basically able to just keep that duality intact. It's kind of a weird combination, and, like, casting solid, and like nothing feels out of place. The scripts, like, there are a lot of one-liners that are really great. Oh god. Like, hey diddle diddle, I have no fiddle, when Rimuru gets his human body for the first time, and like figures out, oh, there's no plumbing downstairs, like, at all. Like, that was funny.
Manscaping, more like humanscaping.
Yeah.
Oh. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. So I suppose I might as well bring it up. I suppose I might as well be the one to bring it up. Boy, it sure is bold of this Isekai show to have a non-binary protagonist.
Yeah!
Oh,
Fancy
hey,
that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, I think Rimuru identifies as male, like, throughout the show, but yeah.
Slimes don't got time for that. Slime lives their life to their best.
Oh, it's still my turn. Okay.
Yes.
Like, especially certain characters that we'll be getting to a little later. The script is really funny, and it takes liberties that, you know, like I said in the Mr. Tonegawa episode, like, comedy's really hard to translate from Japanese to English, because, you know, what's funny there probably isn't quite as much here, just because of cultural differences. So you kind of have to take a leap of faith with comedy dubs, and I'm really glad that this changed things around in a way that still made the final product extremely funny. Also, like, there are little things with the audio engineering that I really like. Like, there's little things with Rimuru's voice in their human form and their slime form that there's an audible difference, and I really like that they're trying to make everything distinct, and yeah, it's real good all around.
Okay, I guess it's my turn then. So like I said a few times before on this podcast, Clifford Chapin is generally a very reliable director, so I figured the show was in good hands when he was confirmed to be handling it, and so far that's proven to be pretty accurate. While I haven't seen like too much of his work in comedy specifically, he's managed to get down the comedic timing for basically every performance in this show down well enough that almost every joke hits where it needs to, and pretty much all the actors sound like they're having fun. I mean, of course, while Slime Time is a pretty lighthearted show on the surface, it also has its fair share of heavier material, and Cliff's direction allows for a lot of the dramatic moments to hit as hard as the comedic ones do, and overall there's a pretty solid balance in the whole thing. Between this and Gridman, which was the other fall show he was directing, I'd say this one wasn't directed quite as well, but on the whole I think it's pretty solid on that end. As far as the script goes, I'm a little more divided. Clifford Chapin is usually very good about making sure that the shows he directs have a script that stays as faithful to the Japanese track as it can. But since this is, partially a comedy, there's a little more leeway here. And that's reflected in Kristen McGuire's work in that end. A lot of the serious moments are, more or less played straight. While a lot of the comedic moments are ramped up with high amounts of banter and, the occasional crude joke. For the most part, this balance works pretty well. And it captures the spirit of the Japanese track well enough that it doesn't feel like a totally different show in English. But I do have a pretty big hang-up about the style of dialogue for one character in particular, and how that kind of breaks the flow of the story a little bit for me. I'll get to that when we get to said character, but on the whole I do think the ADR work here is solid, with the exception of that one nitpick. So, yeah.
Alright. So, I would say...
Sir Hobgoblin.
Yep. I would say that the direction in the show is that Reincarnated as a slime is a much more light-hearted / optimistic kind of show than I think I would have expected. It's a lot more colorful, a lot more fun. It's got its drama, it's got its character developing moments, but it feels like there's a lot more levity and room to breathe and relax in this kind of show. Even when there's action and some hardcore dramatic stakes at play, it still feels like there's a lot of room to breathe, and that shows in a lot of the character performances and the script itself. I think the direction of a lot of characters is very solid. You can hear very distinct differences for numerous characters, because the thing about this show is that characters evolve and literally change their body and vocal performance in regards to getting an evolution, and characters are distinct and sound different when they change that up. And I really think it's noticeable and well done and really interesting. A lot of these characters get some fun line deliveries and performances. I feel everybody who's at the helm of the comedic moments is having the time of their life and sounding silly and goofy and fun, while also managing to make a lot of the dramatic moments and a lot of the harder moments that are meant to hit home, especially in regards to episode 8, which we will get more into that later, especially, like, was so effective I started tearing up a bit, which I was not expecting from this kind of show, but it was a very pleasant surprise nonetheless. The script is the kind of thing where I feel Kristen's work is very much, she anytime she gets into a script, she gets into the material very, very much so, reads a lot of the material and gets into this. So I feel the changes with a show like this, nothing is done in a way that I feel harms or drastically changes the material. I feel everything feels like something that would work in a show like this. Like, there's a couple of weird lines, but most of the time, any change in line of dialogue is hilarious. And a lot of times, it always comes out of Rimuru. And anytime Rimuru just says something that's quirky or just exacerbated, it's always a fun time. And there's a couple of other fun lines said by a lot of the core ensemble cast. This is a big cast too, by the way, so getting this many players into a show like this and making them all sound pretty stand out and humorous while also being serious and dramatic is a feat in and of itself. I think the direction and the script are fairly solid all around. I'll go into more...
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'll go into more certain lines for when I get to more characters, but yeah, I liked it.
Awesome. So for me, this is really weird because I'm going to assume by the time that this goes up, the W's are going to be out.
Yep.
I gave Clifford Chapin my Best Director of the Year award last year and so did I also gave one to Brittany Lauda, because I got 2. Gee, Megan, why does your mom let you have 2 W's? Also, I'd like to take this moment to yell at you, Mario Tanaka, who's watching Bungo Stray Dogs Season 2. Stop being mean to Octagawa! He's a good boy who's awful.
No call-out post, Megan.
That's my PSA. Stop being mean to Octagawa. He's a... Shut up and let me call him out for being mean to my son. But no, Clifford Chapin, this to me is, I think Jet really nailed it on the head, which is, yeah, this is a good, a well-directed dub. It's not as well-directed as Gridman, though. But that's a different story, and I think has a different set of skills and, casting and performance needed, where Gridman did have funny moments. I mean, at points, Caliber was literally a walking meme machine, and at one point, Boar pulled, "That's not a knife, this is a knife" on somebody. Boar is still the best boy, and Gridman, you can all fight me. That's not a knife, this is a knife. I think that this is still a well-directed dub. As much as Kristen does get away with being liberal with some lines, I'm not gonna kid you in that I literally watched the first 12 episodes of this show twice in the span of 8 hours. I literally watched the first 8 last night in Japanese, went to bed because I finally could not stay awake anymore, and immediately woke up and started watching the rest of it in Japanese and switched to English. There is some stuff that actually is legitimately in the Crunchyroll subs, like the ELIF joke. is in the Crunchyroll subs. So, because I know that's something that I think a lot of people would really,
would assume that
really
was like a change.
A change. No, it's in there. He literally says, "Elf, I'd like to fuck," in the less crude manner of it. The one part I think I found that was just like a little bit too much for me on the liberal jokey end is when Rimuru is exploring their genitalia. Like, I do find the "hey diddle diddle I have no fiddle" line like actually kind of funny out of context. Like, I think that's actually a pretty clever line to say, "Hey, I don't have a penis." But I think it's kind of like a weird moment in the show too. There are just there's some casting on here that I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work, and they worked out, and then there's some casting that's immensely point on. There's like one thing, there's sometimes I think like there are certain references thrown into stuff that I wasn't expecting, like there's Rimuru uses water blade, it was super effective. And I was like, oh, okay, this is clearly, like, that, I don't think that was in the sub, but I could have been looking away, so I'm not 100% sure, even though I watched the show twice in the span of, like, 8 to 12 hours.
I don't know, I feel like a bored Japanese businessman would probably know what Pokemon is.
Yeah, oh no, he does. He knows what video games are, because it's one of the things that he catches for, that's a thing, that's like a plot element later in the show, actually. But one of the things I do want to really commend Kristen for is, even if the dub does get a little bit more liberal and toes that line, it never feels mean-spirited.
Yeah.
Like, there are some characters, like Press F for Gopta, who kind of get, like, dunked on a little bit by the show itself. But there's this, like, some time in screwball comedies where you feel like, okay, maybe the show's taking it a little bit too far. And I never felt that from Kristen. So, or Cliff, or Brittany, or Felicia. But that being said, are we ready to move on to the first set of characters?
I am ready to move on to our first set of characters.
Please, Awu, if you agree.
Awu! Jet Awu.
Oh.
Good. Your paycheck is in the mail.
I pay you in 5. Jet, if you will woo this entire episode, I will buy you something very nice at Anime Boston.
We pay you in Scooby snacks.
No, Andrew, only you get paid in Scooby snacks. I give them actual nice things. Oh, don't on me. Your girlfriend can pay you in nice stuff. Anyway. Trust me, you get 2 more segments before you're allowed to dunk the shit out of me, and you know it. Anyway, the first section of characters are the various monsters that either ally themselves to Rimuru or try to ally themselves to Rimuru in one person's case. We have Trini, it's Trini, right? I can't pronounce it.
I think it's
Trini.
Trini.
I'm pretty sure it's Trini.
Yeah. Trini, a dryad who watches over the forest of Jura, who asks Rimuru to take out the Orc Lord. There is Kaijin, a dwarf who essentially who Rimuru helps his brothers when he goes to the dwarf city to find artisans, helps him make swords, goes to an elf titty bar with him, and then watches the dude deck a motherfucker, and then he gets exiled and he comes in. And then there is, oh, my sweet summer child, Gabiru, a lizard man who has his head so far up his own ass that he could find the watch that Christopher Walken gave to the kid in Pulp Fiction.
This watch was up my father's ass, and now this watch is yours.
Your father kept this watch in his ass through the entire prison camp. And now, I want to give it to you.
So if lizardmen lay eggs, would he hatch a watch?
Okay, I will give Andrew's Christopher Walken impression a 6 out of 10. Roots, you get a 2.
Yay!
I suck at Christopher Walken.
No, but Gabiru also JoJo poses for some stupid fucking reason, too.
Gabiru is the most extra motherfucker, and I love his stupid, scaly ass.
In this entire show. And that's saying a lot.
I mean, he loses to
They try not to die.
It was a very...
Yeah,
It was a very good fight.
He gets fucking Kagebushin no Jutsu by Gobta.
That was like Shadow Striker. That was like something Shikamaru or somebody would have done. I'm like, oh, that's dope.
That time, Shikamaru got reincarnated as a goblin. Coming to Shonen Jump this May. Shikamaru would totally be reincarnated as a goblin that just fucking slapped on his porch all day smoking. Alright, so, Trini is played by Jamie Markey. Kajin is played by Bruce DeBose. Don't worry, I did not say the thing because I have misspelled someone's name in our text. And Gabiru is played by Austin Tyndall. Jamie Markey will know his characters such as Mari in Love Live Sunshine and Suyu in Noragami and Noragami Arigoto. Bruce DeBose is Dejel Sanis in Attack on Titan Season 3 and Neptune in One Piece. Austin Tyndall is characters such as Goro in Darling in the Franxx, and my favorite member of Class 2B who did absolutely nothing wrong, Nato Monoma.
Two things. Nato
Monoma did nothing wrong.
It is Class 1B, not 2B. Thank you very much.
Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! My brain is eggs!
Secondly...
Andrew, do you know how much anime I've watched in the last 24 goddamn hours?
All of it was slimy. Secondly...
Excuse me, I watched at least 3 episodes of Konosuba and one show that we will not name.
Okay. But second, I want to bring up... Friends, I love Lizard Karma.
God damn it. Before my brain literally turns into a diamond because it's just being pressured on so hard. Roots of Justice, please, awoo away.
Alright, so, first and foremost, Nato is best 1B trash boy. Just saying.
This is why I'm dating you.
But, yeah, Austin Tyndall's Gabiru is just the best. Like, we've been back and forth about the dub in our Twitter chat, and I basically said, yeah, guys, if I wasn't already sold on the show, Gabiru just did it. Like, he has such a narcissistic personality, because he's the only lizard man that actually has a name. Which, by the way, like, if you didn't already realize, like, getting a monster getting a name is, like, a really big thing in the show, so. But,
Oh, I should have mentioned that, whoops.
No worries. But, like, he's just this... He's, like, the snide, like, underling of the bad guy in, like, every delicious way possible, and he just chews the scenery every scene he's in, and it's just wonderful. And, Bruce DeBose is Kaijin. Like, he's got that, like, grandfatherly quality to his voice that's also really cool, and he, like, it's gruff like you'd expect a dwarf to be, and, like, it has that I've seen some shit quality to it. Especially when he punches out Brandon Potter in the Elf Titty Bar.
That was a great moment.
Like, and especially afterward, when he's, like, bantering back and forth with the king of the Dwarven Village. Or the Dwarven Kingdom, I'm sorry. Like, and, where Brandon Potter's character just gets smacked down immediately after everybody else leaves, except for him and the king. Oh, it's so good. So good. But, like, Kaijin gets some surprisingly snappy dialogue, and I really, really like it. And, like, Bruce DeBose gives a very nice, warm quality to the character. Unfortunately, I can't really say much about Jamie Marchi's trainee yet, because the character hasn't done much in the course of the show. I like what I've heard so far, though. Like, it's like Kaijin, very, very warm and inviting, and it's really pleasant. And, like, all three did a really great job, and I'm looking forward to hearing more of all of them.
Okay, I guess it's my turn, so I'll start with Jamie Marchi, since I honestly don't really have a whole ton to say there. Trainee hasn't really been in the show very long, and that also kind of goes for the subversion, because he hasn't done that much there either. But I do like what I've heard of Jamie Marchi so far. She definitely plays Trainee with, this very, calming and soothing attitude that, kind of fits the whole, dryad thing, but at the same time, there's there's a bit of a business side to it where you can tell she can get stuff done if she really wants to, which definitely kind of fits into the whole dynamic of where she fits into the story at the moment. So I thought that was pretty nice. And then as for it was Bruce.
It was Bruce.
Okay. Yeah, and then as for Bruce as Kaijin, I've enjoyed him so far. Like Bruce was saying, there's this kind of grandfatherly quality to his voice that, that kind of makes it seem like, yeah, he's seen a lot of stuff, but he also, takes a lot of it in stride, which, definitely fits with what we kind of learned about him in relation to, his dynamic with the king and Brandon Potter's character. And I thought that whole bit was, very interesting, because it was a lot more depth to what could have otherwise been a side character who was just there to advance the plot, but, they really gave him some nice material that I thought that was pretty cool. And then, Alston Tyndall as Gabiru is just, it's perfect. I mean, Alston Tyndall is just, Alston Tyndall is usually very reliable in heavy roles, and he's having this one up pretty hard. It helps that Gabiru is a pretty fun character, like Roots was saying. He kind of fits into that whole unwitting minion of the evil bad guy very well, and pretty much all his interactions with the other characters are extremely funny. But it also plays him well enough where he's over the top and goofy, but you see enough of his serious side that you can see okay, he probably can get stuff. He can get some stuff done if he wants to, and that kind of plays into how things advance later on. So I think that was pretty well done, and yeah, all three of these are pretty good. I don't have any major complaints I can really think of.
Jet, I'm honest to God shocked you did not bring up the fact that one of his men sounds just like Agumon.
Damn it, I was gonna do it, you ass!
I guess I wasn't paying up attention.
I'm shocked you didn't catch that.
I knew there was one that sounded
it's
familiar.
very obvious. Yeah, one of them legitimately does sound like Yes Man Agumon.
Okay, I'm gonna have to pay more attention to that.
Look up the clip or something on YouTube when he's meeting them, just because I think you would appreciate that. I remember having a conversation with Megan where it's like, I feel like Clifford would be the type of person to make a Digimon reference, and then she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Of course he would.
Clifford Chapin could out Digimon nerd all of us combined, and it's kind of terrifying, and I'm impressed.
Didn't he live tweet his playthrough of Cyber Sleuth? Or was that a different voice actor I'm thinking of?
If I'm also correct, Clifford Chapin also likes the best season of Digimon Frontier. Don't at me.
I have no pony in this race, so I'm just gonna move on and say my thoughts on these characters.
Also, Digimon's the best Isekai story. Don't at me.
Damn, you're right.
Okay, well, okay. Why would you say something so controversial and yet so brave?
You know what? Well played. Well played.
Thank you, Eric Andre.
All right. So yeah.
Holy shit, I didn't know Eric Andre was in this dub.
Anyways, Jamie as trainee. She sounds cool and authoritative, very sweet, very calm, but probably has some sort of play up her sleeve, because she just sort of shows up in the middle of the table and is like, hey, yo, kill some orcs for me. Okay, thanks, bye. So she sounds good, but I don't know enough about her yet, but I think Jamie does a good job. Bruce has this really interesting tone of voice to him. I haven't heard much of him, but he sounds like... He sounds like a grandpa who is much more jacked than you would expect him to be at an age. Like, one of the ones who's, like, 70-something, but has, like, some nice arm guns on him. You know, that kind of grandpa. The ones who's just really in shape. And he's just very chill, and you can tell he's a hard worker. Like, he's been working this business for a lot of years, but he's fun, and he's loyal, and he's a hard worker. And there's just this tone, there's this gruffness, but earnestness in his voice, the way he portrays his character. And I really, really did like that scene where he's having that exchange with the king, where it's like, I do not turn on somebody who I have sworn my loyalty to. That is not the kind of person I am. And just that level of respect and earnesty when he's portraying somebody is really interesting and compelling about his character. And I think Bruce does a solid job with that. Gabiru is... How do I even fucking put this? Austin Tyndall is a beautiful, scaly idiot boy who means well, and all of his men love him. And he really does mean well. He's just a little ignorant and stupid, and that kind of makes him easy to manipulate from the antagonist side. But that scene where he's fighting with... Okay, I say fighting very, very loosely. Where he has a scuffle with one Gobta. I love how he's intimidated. He's having a stare down with Rangga, and he's not even menaced by it. He's just like, oh, you're a very strong steed. Why are you serving that schmuck? I will fight for your honors. And then he's like, you know what? Here, Gobta. Okay, you fight Gobta. You beat Gobta, I serve you. And he's like, okay, this is gonna be easy. And then he gets knocked the hell out. He talks shit and he gets hit, but he's so fucking extra. And he doubts himself. And then 2 minutes later, he's like, wait a second. I'm actually perfect. What am I talking about? And just Tyndall is just chewing the scenery every time he's playing this Shakespearean level idiot boy who means well. It's not even that he's a bad person. He means well. He's just really stupid, but anytime he talks, it is a delight. And goddammit, Austin is so much fun. Alright, I'm done.
So what you're trying to say here is Gabiru means well, and he means well.
Oh, I just got that.
I had liquid in my mouth.
He means well,
I had
and
liquids
he
in my
means
mouth.
well. Clap, clap, clap.
I'm here all night, folks.
On that line, wow. I'm about to make a reference that, like, 5 people are gonna get because they read the JoJo's manga. Wow, I didn't know Diego Brando was going to show up in the anime so soon.
God damn it.
God, fuck.
I actually don't get that reference because I haven't read that far in JoJo.
Just take our word for it and say it's accurate.
Jet, I want you to just Google scary dinosaurs, and you'll understand the stupid joke I just made.
Scary monsters.
Whatever, close enough.
No, that's gonna be the Viz localization. Scary dinosaurs.
Scary dinosaurs! I too love it. I too love the part of the manga where we horse race against the government. Anyway, so Jamie Marchi as Trine it's not what I think a lot of people typically expect from Jamie Marchi, unless you've actually watched like certain shows where she gets to be softer spoken, a little bit of like things like World End. But I actually did specifically reference Suyu from Noragami because she herself is actually a tree spirit and not a Shinki. And I know that because I read the manga. I think it's in the I think it might be in the second season of the anime, but so this is the second time she's technically played her Dryad. But I think she was just fine. I want to see where that performance goes because she'll show up a little bit more in the second half. Bruce DeBose as Kaijin. For some reason, I kept feeling like he had a slight New York accent to his character. And it's not something that I'm 100% against because he is from a city and not in the country, and I just felt like it was there, and I'm like, oh, cool, New York dwarves. Awesome. But I love the description of him as grandpa with guns. And I think one of my other favorite moments in the show is when the Great Sage is like, this is 7% alcohol content. Yeah, I don't need to know that. Whap! And he just drunk sucker punches a motherfucker in the face. But I also really liked his talks with Rimuru in the dungeon, where he is very much a person. He has the type of tone of voice in a person that sounds like, "Hey, I'm trying to see the best in people, and I'm trying to help people out, and I accept the fate." And I thought, actually, like, I almost kind of teared up in the stuff with him, the king, and the guy who betrayed him. Like, that shit got me pretty hard, too. But, oh, good God almighty, Austin Tyndall. Every single word out of Austin Tyndall's mouth as Gabiru is utter perfection. He is so dumb. And so... Like, I like the fact that Gabiru is so dumb that his own men convince him to do a coup d'etat and not himself. Because he's like, I am pretty smart. It's like, yeah, no you're not, honey. Just ride your... Lizards riding lizards is really strange, by the way.
It's like that one scene from The Amazing World of Gumball where Nicole and Gumball walk by real-life cats in a pet shop, and they're just like, just don't think about it.
And they're like, they'll think about it. Gumball has probably one of my favorite lines in any children's show of all time, which is, my soul wasn't going up. It's like my favorite thing in Gumball. No, but I think Gabiru, Austin Tyndall is just fucking great as Gabiru. And I think the thing that sells me about it, too, is that he's so sure of his stupid self that it really works. And that he just... I think that's like half the point of characters who are charismatic, is that if they are dumb and charismatic, they really need to sell the charisma more than the dumb aspect to me. Because obviously his men follow him and use their shields as lights for him to JoJo pose against.
Yeah,
I was like, where's the light coming from? And then I looked in the scene and I'm like, oh my god, it's his own men.
Like he's doing something
think,
right
Jamie...
in that they like him and they follow him.
Like, just, god damn it to Austin. So, you go, Lizard Karma. You go. You do you, sashay away. So with that being said, are we good to move on? Please, Abu, if you are okay with this.
Ooh, Jet.
Okay, also one...
Good.
Jet's like... Also, one other thing I'd like to point out before we move on, and I forgot it. The part where Gabiru gets kicked in the head by Gobta and has to go down in the most overly dramatic way possible. Props to both the Seiyu for Gobta, for Gabiru, and Austin Tyndall for holding out that elonged scream.
It's so beautiful.
Because he's just like, ah! And like, when you actually watch it in real time, he, like, immediately flops over. But... good comedic timing on there to get him to hold it out. So, we go from dryads, lizard men, and dwarves to the one race of things that if you're from America, you never thought you'd find sexy, but Japan decides to make them hot anyway. Let's talk about the ogres. Let's get out of the swamp.
We got 2 sets of ogres, so...
And in the morning...
2 for the price of 1.
And in the morning, everybody but Shion's making waffles. So, we have Kurobe, who is a giant blacksmith one, Hakuro, who is essentially like the old advisor / teaches them all how to sword fight, and Shion, who is Rimuru's self-appointed secretary and bodyguard, who almost kills Gobta with her cooking, which leads to, I think, like, the single legitimate funniest scene in the entire show so far.
Also, if you want to remember their designs, Kurebe is the brown one, Hakuro is the white one.
Shion's purple.
And Shion is the hot one. Oh my god.
Excuse me. Okay, let's go with this. Andrew would very much like to be Rimuru every time he is held by Shion.
Dude, she's so fucking
Also,
hot.
Lilac. Hey, Steph, I have a cosplay idea for you.
Oh, fuck, it just hit me. She's purple. Oh, no, that was not... Oh, no. Okay.
I think I just gave Andrew a boner on an episode.
Oh, no. Okay, look, the ogres are very attractive, and let's please talk about who voices them. This is going to be an interesting discussion.
I'm gonna totally tell your girlfriend after this. Alright, playing Kurobe is Eric Vale. Playing Hakuro is Charlie Campbell, and playing Shion is Michelle Rojas. Eric Vale you will know as characters such as Trunks in a little franchise called Dragon Ball Z, and Nishiki Nishio in Tokyo Ghoul. Charlie Campbell you'll know as characters such as Gran Torino in a little series called My Hero Academia, and Artorias in Restaurant to Another World. Michelle Rojas you will know as Kanan Matsura in a little series called Love Live Sunshine, and Aiha in Noragami Arigoto. So Roots and Jet take this on while Andrew tries to get rid of his boner.
Really? You know it's gonna come
Guys?
tenfold next round, by the way, just FYI.
Shit. Anyway, Roots, go ahead.
Alright, not a lot to say about Eric Vale's Kurobe yet, because, you know, like Jamie Markey, his character hasn't really done a lot in the show yet. But I did really like the scene with him and Kaijin in the Smith shop, where they're just like trading notes and nerding out, and it was just beautiful. I really liked it. Charlie Campbell's Hakuro, like I really kind of both similar and contrasting to My Hero Academia. Like, I love how stern he is, and how loyal he is to a character we're gonna be getting to in the next group, where he's basically like the instructor and advisor to him, and like he's sort of has that wisdom to his voice, and it's really good. And Michelle Rojas is Shinon. Like, I really like the scenes where like she's like in open conflict with another character that we'll be getting to in the next group over Rimuru, and also also when she realizes she's a bad cook, and she gets mad at everyone for calling her out for being a bad cook. Like, that was really genuinely funny, and like all three of these actors were really good in their roles. I really hope Kurobe gets to do more, because I want to hear Eric Vale nerding out more.
Okay, as for me, I will start with Eric Vale's Kurobe, because I also don't have a whole ton to say. I mean, I was a little surprised to see Eric Vale put here, but, you know, it's nice to see him have a quieter role every now and then, and, it's been pleasant to listen to, though I do hope Kurobe gets a little bit more to do later on. So Rojas and Shion has been a lot of fun so far. I'm not as familiar with Michelle Rojas as you guys are, but I've totally enjoyed what I've heard of her and other things, and she seems like a pretty good fit here. She definitely gets Shion's attitude across very well, especially with the whole transformation into becoming Rimuru's glorified secretary.
I want to see her fight because in the opening she has like this giant ass motherfucking sword.
She does get to fight a little bit in some of the later episodes, so that will be fulfilled.
Nice.
Okay, so I definitely like the whole haughty attitude she gets across, and I especially liked her delivery during the scene where we find out Shion can't cook. And it really is something that they managed to make a scene as cliche as that actually funny, so kudos to the show for that. And, and lastly, Charlie Campbell as... Oh, God, what was his name again?
Hakuro. Just call them...
Hakuro!
Honestly, if you don't know their names, call them by their colors.
The White Ranger!
Okay.
White Ranger!
Okay, White Ranger. I'm sorry, it's like almost 9:30. It's been a long day. Anyway, I very much enjoy what I've heard of Charlie Campbell so far. I generally enjoy hearing him in things. It's interesting to see him playing another, like, mentor-esque character. While this one's not quite as... Well, he's not quite as grumpy as Gran Torino. He definitely gives off a very similar vibe, and I really like the way Charlie's playing him. And how well he switches between, being like the wise old mentor and also, getting to be a little, like, snarky when he needs to be, and I thought that was pretty funny. But all in all, I think all three of these performances are pretty solid.
Jet, your time will come in next segment to make fun of me, so...
Alright. So, starting from Kurube, there's not as much to say about Eric Vale, and I actually was not aware this was Eric Vale until... Because he mostly just kind of grunts before he gets his name, and then when he does get his name, he's just this kind of big, friendly, beefy guy, and Eric Vale is very nice and casual and friendly. And also, Bro TP/OTP with Kurube and Kaiji, depending which way you roll. Either one is very acceptable. I like the idea that he's just sort of like this big, friendly blacksmith fellow who's just very into his craft. Hakuro, Charlie Campbell is a... I like the distinctness, like with the ogres especially, you get to hear how different they sound from before they are named and after they are named. Charlie Campbell sounds like a lot more like gruff and older sounding when he is an ogre, and then when he evolves into a, was it Kijin? When he evolves into a Kijin, he sounds a little more youthful and a little more, like, spry, and he sounds much more like a caring mentor figure than I think sort of like a jaded butler as he did when he was in his prior state. And you hear the distinctness in the tone of voice, and I think that is really interesting. I think Charlie does a good job. I really like the training section when he's training a bunch of these smaller goblins with wooden swords. I think that's a cool scene. And he's also a badass when he faces Rimuru and cuts the arm off. You could tell he's a battle-hardened veteran and knows his way around sword. And let's just get the obvious out of the way. Shinon is hot. Like, I love her design. I love both the ogre design. I love both the Kijin design. She is really cool. I can't wait for her to get that fucking suit, because the suit is... that's good shit. Look, she's hot. Okay. On to Michelle Rojas. Michelle Rojas does a very good job sounding that gruff punk aesthetic when she is the badass ogre, and a lot more of a down-to-earth, sweet presentation. Like, she means very well when she's her secretary, and you hear the happiness when she's trying to cook and, like, do well to help out Rimuru. But you also see when she gets angry and pissy and jealous, and you hear that tone in her voice, and Michelle sounds so funny and so natural when she's getting upset, but it's just a delight. This character is a lot of fun, and I want to hear Shinon do more and kick some ass, and it'll be great. And yes, Shinon's hot. What do you want from me? The ogres are hot in this show. Fucking deal with it.
No, I sent a really bad pun to our group chat on Twitter. No, so, alright, where was I? Eric Vale! I was actually really surprised that Eric Vale was the giant one with the hammer. I was like, wait a minute. So no, but he's pretty good. I don't have a lot to say about him because unfortunately he doesn't talk too much. He, like everybody else said, he kind of grunts, and then he's got like kind of a chiller, gruffer, like kind of slightly more gruff Eric Vale voice. Hakuro, Charlie Campbell, I really like Hakuro's voice. I do like that he and another gentleman who play other versions of their characters who then suddenly get really hot by old men standard, I guess, if you're into silver foxes.
If you're into gilfs.
Dilfs.
Gadilfs.
Literally, like, every ogre is a different fetish, and you'd be happy. I mean, Kurobe got the bara.
Look, all 6 of them are pretty... all 6 of them are pretty horny when you think about it.
Boo!
I apologize for nothing!
Sit down, Andrew.
Go to your room and think about what you did.
I think about what I do all the time, and I don't regret a single thing.
I want an essay on my desk Monday morning.
It's just gonna be a very crude stick figure drawing of, like, Shinon with big titties.
You're laughing really hard. But I was browsing Reddit before bed last night. And there was a thread on Today I Fucked Up about how a kid started drawing like big tittied anime girls. Who accidentally drew a big tittied anime girl in his like journal about like, I forgot what he was reading, but he drew it in his journal because his brain was like offline because he was really tired. And it happened to be the one day that he had to switch the journal with somebody.
Oh no.
And his teacher, like, so his classmates all kind of got a laugh, and his teacher said, well, at least he's I have to find this. I have to find this now. It's so good.
Adam? What is this? Bukaki?
I'm going
Bukaki?
to read this. I'm gonna read this, and it's Today I Fucked Up by drawing hentai in class. So we're reading this comic book, Fun Home, by Alison Bechtel for 11th grade class, and as a warm-up activity we had to draw a comic strip. Being the weeb that I am and having had only like 5 hours of sleep in the previous night, my brain switched to autopilot mode and I drew a big tittied anime girl with a low-cut top and her nipples poking through the fabric on the 3rd panel, which spanned across the entire page. Usually this would have been fine, because these warm-up activities have been daily and we're just supposed to be in a personal journal that you keep to yourself, but now, apparently today we had to share it with the whole fucking class. So the teacher ordered us to pass around the journals to the left, and I didn't realize the fiesta that was about to be unleashed until it was too late. Before I could react, the cute girl sitting next to me started laughing hysterically and gave me a weird look. My face grew beet red in an instant, and then I said, for some goddamn reason, I'm just drawing what comes to mind. At this point, the teacher gets intrigued by her giggling. He comes to see the comic, and lo and behold, my waifu in all her glory. She was silent for a moment. At least he's being honest and exploring his sexuality. And the whole class burst into laughter, and no one could do anything productive for the rest of the class.
Oh, no. Oh.
That is what Andrew would do if he drew a big tittied anime girl.
That's if I had any artistic talent. Anyway,
this kid didn't. I've seen the image.
Anyways, so each orc is fetish.
Each dwarf is specific, is genetically engineered to your strike zone. Oh god, and Shion is for people like Andrew who want girls to step on them. And Michelle Rojas plays her really well. I think I'm kind of sad you didn't get to hear Shion talk more when she is like the gruff ogre, because I really do like the deepness that is in another character's voice, and then how they shifted it into their more, like, kind of Bishonen voice. And she kind of had the grunts and growls, and then immediately Shion goes into straight-up waifu voice. And I think Michelle is really good at kind of doing that, and it has some of her still, like, what I know Michelle Rojas doing. Like, sometimes I'm like, oh, I can hear a little itty bit of Kanon in there. but I genuinely enjoyed them. And now it is time for me to dig my own fucking grave.
Also, before we move on, I just want to say I love the. I actually am surprised I like the cooking scene as much as I did because.
Okay, yeah, no, the cooking scene fucking killed me.
Like, my immediate thought was like, oh god, are we gonna do the shitty cooking egg trope? And
the show even like
she brings the plate out, and Rimuru just screams, "Why trope? Why?" And
Why?
I've never identified with something so hard in my life.
That whole scene is really great because it's just making fun of scenes like that, too. Because I think my other favorite thing that happens is the next three, some of the next three characters we talk about are in there. So it's time for me to slowly dig my own grave with the characters, who I think Rimuru describes as the cute one, hottie number 1, hot guy number 1, and hot guy number 2.
Oh yeah! Rimuru does call it hot guy 1 and 2.
Oh. Hot guy number 2 is Soe, a ogre basically who's a fucking ninja, who is the dark and brooding type, who can do things like make body doubles and goes off and kind of acts like a spy for Rimuru. Is it Shura or Shuna?
I think it's Shuna.
Okay, Shuna, the ogre princess and the younger sister of the ogre prince, who is adorable, small, and weaves and makes clothing for them, and also fights Shion for the ability to snuggle Rimuru, because frankly, who the fuck wouldn't? And then there's...
Finish the sentence, Megan.
It's okay.
Finish the sentence, Megan.
It's okay, you can do it.
And then there's the hot one, Benimaru, who I'd climb like a fucking tree.
He's not just hot, Megan. He's fucking flaming.
Flaming. He has firepower, and he's really buff. And he goes from being hefty to Bishonen hefty. And he sparkles when he asks to kill things.
Megan, I want you to know, my sister from another mister, we are both ogre sexual. High five.
If Kakariko...
High five.
Here lies Megan. She was so young, so full of life.
I am full of salt and despair and nothing else, and you know that.
Here lies Megan and Andrew. It's all ogre now.
Alright, Megan.
Are you serious?
Yes!
God damn it!
Benimaru, as he spoons you, whispers your ear and says, "This is my swamp now."
God damn it! No! Why would you do that? What is wrong with you?
The opening was there. I had to take it. I had to take the shot.
Pull the trigger, Piglet! Penny. Oh God, Jesus Christ!
Alright, let's dig ourselves out of this swampy hole.
I thought Kakariko did. Wait, I think Kakariko woke something in me. Jesus Lord, I love you, honey. I can't believe my own boyfriend pulled the trigger.
Oh, let's be real. It's pretty easy to make fun of.
I love you too, Megan.
Fucking. Ah! I'm like crying. My face is so red.
So your face is just like Benimaru.
Shut your fucking mouth!
Okay. Alright, I gotta talk about the actors. I gotta bring it down. Gotta bring it down.
Soe is played by Ian Sinclair. Shuna is played by Tia Fowler. Benimaru is played by Ricardo. You fuckers broke me!
Take a breath before we continue.
Oh God, I've dunked on so many people's relationships in the last month. I earned this.
Yes, you did.
I earned this. Oh, God. I'm so sorry for everybody who has to listen to this episode. Alright.
You good?
Yeah. Ian Sinclair, you'll know his characters such as Yang Wen Lee in Legend of the Galactic Heroes Dinue Tesa and the Immortal Sugimoto in Golden Kamui. Tia Ballard, you'll know his characters such as Megami and Shiki and Shni and Aka 13 Territory Inspections Department. Enrico Fajardo, you will know his characters such as Leon Luis in Garo the Animation and Kotaro in Zombieland Saga. Excuse me while I go get something to drink. Go ahead, boyfriend.
Yeah, so... oh, God. Okay, I'm good now. I'm good. Ian Sinclair is Soe. Like... I'm really surprised he got to do the Samurai Caliber thing, like, twice. Because it, like, similar character archetype, too. And, like, I really like this style of performance for Gridman, and this is definitely the case here. Like, Soei's kind of a cold, calculating, like, but generally a good guy. And, like, I really like that Ian Sinclair can sort of play the emotionally detached character really, really well. And it's great. There's unfortunately not a lot I can say other than that, because, like, he gets to do quite a bit, but it's just in the background. So, I hope we get to see a lot more of him later on the show, though. He did a real great job. Tia Ballard Shuna, kind of a similar deal, except she gets a little bit more to say. I really like the banter between her and Shinon regarding Rimuru. Like, that was... Like, I laughed my ass off during the scene where they were fighting over him, and it was just... It was good. And Tia Ballard's Shuna is sweet, it's bubbly, and it's real good. And, I really like the arc that the show is giving, Benimaru and the performance of Rico Fajardo. Like, he's sort of brought to a very low point watching his entire people be massacred and seeking revenge. And being so desperate, he's willing to seek out a name from just a lowly slime. And just how grateful he is for all the opportunities he's gotten after that is just... Like, I really like that arc. He's stern, but he also has a warmness to him, and it's really nice. All three actors did a really good job. And thumbs up.
Okay.
By the way, I lived, bitch.
I'm glad.
Do I want to know what that's about?
No.
I'm saying as in, like, I'm not coughing and dying anymore.
That's good. Okay, so, starting off with Ian Sinclair, since I also don't really have a whole ton to say about Zoe. I do like that what Bruce was kind of saying is that, you know, there was, like, a pretty notable distinction between his ogre self and when he turns into a Kijin, where, you know, his Kijin self is a little less gruff, you know, sounds a little prettier. And I thought that was pretty neat. I wish I had a bit more to say, but, like, Zoe doesn't speak much, honestly, even in the sub version. Okay, well, no, actually he does get to speak a little bit more in, like, the comic episodes, but, and I'm interested in seeing what Ian does there, but, for right now, it sounds pretty cool, and I'm looking forward to, him getting more screen time. Okay, and then as for Tia... I didn't find the vocal distinction between her ogre self and her Kijin self quite as distinct as the other two, but I thought it But I thought it worked pretty well, and I generally enjoy hearing T and things, so I really like what she brought to the table here. I definitely liked a lot of her interactions with Shion, and especially that whole bit where they're fighting over Rimuru. And generally just the contrast between like her Kijin self and the ogre self, where she was a little more shy and reserved as an ogre, but as a Kijin she's a little bit more assertive. I thought that was pretty interesting. And then Riko as Benimaru was very interesting for me because when I first heard him, I wasn't totally sure if it was Riko because of how gruff it was. Like I could kind of tell, but it was definitely a very distinct voice that I was not used to from him. So I thought that was pretty neat. But when he went Kijin, it definitely sounded a lot more like what I would expect from Riko in terms of like the pretty boy characters he played. And so far he's handled it pretty well. I like Benimaru as a character. Him having to be the whole leader of the Ogre tribe and any conflict over what he has to do for his people regarding Rimuru and having to ally himself with him. And I thought that whole character arc was pretty interesting, and Riko handled that very well. And Benimaru gets a bit more to do in some of the coming episodes. And he gets like a really good one-liner in the most recent episode of the simulcast, so I'm looking forward to hearing Riko deliver on that when the time comes. Yeah, once again, all three of these performances are pretty good. I don't have anything I can like really complain about.
All right, nice. Okay, first things first. Ian Sinclair as cool stoic ninja man. He doesn't do that much, but when he does get to show and strut his stuff, it is a lot of fun. And he definitely sounds really cool and menacing, like, especially when he's talking with the king of the lizard men, and that one dude is, like, dissing on Rimuru, and he's got the wire straight to his neck, where it's like, you talk shit one more time, motherfucker. Just try and watch me. It's like, ooh, you're not somebody to be trifled with. That's cool. I like that. And Ian does a good job sounding like this stoic, cool ninja badass. And I enjoyed that a lot. As for Shuna, I'm about to ruin this for some of y'all. I quite love Moe02.
Fuck you, asshole!
I did not bring this up, but my immediate thought was when I saw the horns and the pink hair and like the eyeliner and that it was Tia Ballard.
Resigned anyway.
I'm like, you know what? It's kind of just Moe02, and I'm kind of here for that. So I just thought it was a funny comparison.
No! No! I have finally gotten that out of my head, you monster! No! I've Kiss of Death stuck back in my head again!
Okay, but anyways, now that I have brought immense pain to Megan again, Tia sounds very sweet and charming, and I love the interactions between her and Shinon when it comes to fighting over snuggling Rimuru, and she does a good job. She's adorable, she's earnest, and she's sweet, and I love her interacting with her brother and her other members of the clan, and I think it's really cool. As for Rico Fajardo, I love, like, the most noticeable distinction between his ogre voice and his Kijin voice, because his ogre voice is much gruffer, angrier, much more volatile, while Kijin is much more calm, subdued, almost like matured in a princely sense. Honestly, when I think about it a little bit more, the Ogre royal family reminds me a lot of Hoshido from Fire Emblem Fates, and I think that's kind of interesting to me.
I'm a Hoshido. Are you a Hoshida boo?
I'm kind of a Hoshida boo. I just think it's really funny that it's like, this kind of reminds me of the Fire Emblem royal family, and I think that's really interesting. But Rico does a great job. He sounds like a character who, like, his arrogant pride and rage over, like, and he has to grow and learn a lesson where it's like
So wait, does this make Benimaru a Ryoma?
Fucking maybe?
He's bled like a lobster just like Ryoma.
Fuck, you're right. But yeah, no, it's just, I love this character in that he is somebody who's growing as like an arrogant young prince to a true leader and thinking in regards to how do I serve to get what I want to, how do I think about what the others want and what's best for my family, and working together and with others and making friends. And I think that's one of the things I like about Rimuru in general, is that it's about improving and making others better and learning and making things a better place. And it's really interesting to see how that affects Rico's character, and I really want to see more of how he tackles that, and I think it's really interesting.
I'd like to start out my segment with that. My very adorable familiar Shinya is in my hands, and she very much does not want to be in my arms, so there she goes. It's funny that I'll talk about it when I talk about Benimaru myself, and the not thirsty way, but other than the fact that, holy shit, Benimaru is really fucking hot on both forms. So let's start out with hot guy number 2. Hot guy number 2, Soe. I really like that they went for Ian Sinclair for this role, where I feel like in many other anime, I think that you would have switched Ian and Eric Vale around. Like, Ian, like... And it's also really weird because I also feel like Soe is a little bit more in the range of Ian Sinclair's performance of the third best boy in Gridman, Caliber. Because Auntie's number 2. I generally enjoyed it. Tia Ballard as Shuna is something I really expected of Tia Ballard, where she plays, like, cute younger girl characters, and she's got the pep. I like that you can tell there's a difference in the girliness that Shuna has compared to the girliness of Shion. I really think that she gets it across well, and that she is a bit more of the voice of reason among the ogres, next to Hakuro. But, man, Rico Fajardo knocks it out of the park as Benimaru. I think that he as a character, it's really good that he also sounds a lot more grounded in both of his pre-named and named personas than Gabiru. Because I think that, as Andrew was discussing it, Benimaru is Gabiru's foil. Where Gabiru is very vain and selfish and took the name to grab power and thinks that he's better and he's ready to rule. Benimaru he doesn't take the name, because they both get offered names by the same demon lord. And Benimaru says no to them. And then he eventually meets Rimuru and gets the names for him and his clan. I absolutely 100% actually more adore giant buff Benimaru's voice. I'm with Jet, where I could not believe that was Rico Fajardo for a little bit. Like, I don't think I've ever heard Rico Fajardo sound that gruff in a performance. I think that Benimaru's Bishonen side is a lot more akin to characters such as, definitely Leon, and his character in, Seraph of the End, whose name is escaping me right now.
He Trident Man.
Yeah, Trident guy. I just know it's the guy with the trident. If you've seen Seraph of the End and your name is escaping him like me. Also, Farrah does not have a medical license. But Rico's probably up there as one of my favorite performances in the show. I thought he is absolutely fantastic. Are we ready to move on, though?
I'm ready to move on to...
Let's get out of this fucking swamp.
I'm ready to move on to a race that has been abused, given scandalous propaganda in many recent anime as of late. Their good name besmirched and dragged through the mud. This cruel propaganda against them that I'm glad to see the true representation of a much underrepresented, underrespected group in fiction, the goblins.
Oh, I thought we were doing the human travelers first.
Oh, wait, were we?
Yes.
Oh, fuck, I fucked that up. Okay.
I thought you were gonna say the humans at the end of that. It would have been fucking great.
Oh, I fucked that up. I thought we were doing the goblins next. Damn it, that would have been perfect.
The human, but no, we're gonna talk about 3 human travelers who come to the goblin village before the ogres do. They do not stay around. They are essentially 3 humans sent out by the guild to investigate what the fuck's going on in the forest of Jura, because, hey, the giant dragon that's basically been keeping all the monsters kind of settled is just gone, and it's a power vacuum. And the last time I watched a show with the power vacuum after a giant deity in a large cosmic system got taken out, it ended great, right, guys?
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
If anybody actually gets what that's a reference to. So no, we're going to talk about the 3 human travelers that come to the village and kind of are a big essential part of the arc with the character Shizue. Their names are Caval, Eren, and Guido. Caval is the leader of the group. He's the kind of blonde, shaggy-looking guy. Guido is the kind of bigger dude who's there with a dagger. And Eren is actually a girl this time. And not trying to kill the Titans. And is actually a good character. Shots fired.
I don't think I'm gonna find much dissent here.
Not at all.
Sadly, nobody's getting punched by Bryn April in the show.
Man, I feel like while the show does a great job endearing me to its lovable monster crew, these 3, in my mind, are the most relatable. Because in one moment, they go through so much work, and then their boss is just like, I'm giving you 3 days off, and then I want you to do this extra hard job.
And it leads me
after.
to, like, one of my favorite, one of my other, like, maybe one of my other, like, top performances in the show, actually. So, playing Caval, we have Justin Cook. Playing Eren, we have Natalie Hoover. And playing Guido, we have Brad Hawkins. Justin Cook, you'll know his characters such as... Please tell me I put the right name down for his first name.
Ichiro Kirishima?
Yes.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Ichiro Kirishima in My Hero Academia and Yusuke Urameshi in Yu Yu Hakusho. Natalie Hoover, you'll know as characters such as Lily in Recovery of an MMO Junkie and Nana Sakurai in Prince of Stride. Gotta bite my tongue for that. And Brad Hawkins, you'll know as Kohiko in Hakuhoshi Enki and Tiki Miki in The Gray Man. Hakuhoshi Enchi, a show that everybody loved and is not getting pushed out the door.
Look, somebody has to remember it happened. Anyways, moving on.
Roots of Justice, take the floor. Awoo.
Alright, so one thing I love before I go into individual performances is, like, one of my favorite shticks of the entire show is just these 3 characters cannot decide on who in their group is the leader constantly, and like the arguments between the 3 over who is, like, it's great. But I gotta say, like, one of my favorites of the 3 is Natalie Hoover's Eren, mainly because of the huge rant she gets after, like, immediately after their guild master basically tells them, hey, you got 3 days off, then you gotta go and do the thing I asked you to do all over again somewhere else. Like, where she gets to just yell about, oh, 3 days off? Why don't you take those three days and shove it? You know, that kind of thing. Like, I don't usually get to hear, like, Natalie Hoover play aggravated, and that, like, that was just, like, a really satisfying thing to hear. And like, I also really like Justin Cook's kind of, like, laid back, nonchalant, he's technically the leader kind of persona. And like, he gets a lot of snappy, quippy comebacks, and, like, it's just beautiful. And, like, unfortunately, Guido doesn't get to talk all that much, but, like, one thing of note is, like, right as they're about to leave, when he gets his suit of armor, and he's just like, I'm gonna leave this as an heirloom. Like, that was just great. All 3 of them were really good. And I really hope they get to come back later on in the show, because, like, they're just wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go, Jet.
Okay, okay, I'm, like, blanking on the character names because, again, I'm kind of tired, so...
Okay,
like,
it's, Eren is the blonde girl, Guido is the big boy, and Caval is the snarky leader.
Okay, so I will start with Guido because, like, I don't really have too many thoughts on that one. I thought that performance sounded fine. It did what it needed to. It's just like it didn't leave that big of an impression on me for whatever reason. Justin Cook as Caval was pretty interesting. Mostly because I feel like I don't hear Justin Cook that much in simuldubs these days, so it was pretty nice to see him in this role. I thought he did a pretty good job of making Caval sound distinct, and I thought some of his lines were pretty funny, especially his interactions with the other two and Shizue, and I thought that was pretty well done. Lastly for Aaron, again, I'm blanking who was playing Aaron again.
Natalie.
Okay, Natalie Hoover for Aaron. I definitely liked her the most out of these three, mostly because so I feel like Aaron got the most to do in regard to her interactions with the other characters. She got a lot of good banter with the other two, and she definitely had the best dynamic with Shizue, because she was the one who got Shizue into their whole little group to begin with. And I really like that whole little bit towards the end of their journey together, where she says that she's kind of looked up to Shizue as a sister. I thought that was pretty sweet. I mean, I feel like that would have maybe had a little bit more impact if that whole bit had lasted a little longer than it actually did. Because while I don't know too much about the light novels, apparently they have been traveling together for at least a few weeks, apparently, but in the anime it's maybe half an episode. So I thought there was a little bit of weird dissonance there, but aside from that, I thought that whole bit was pretty sweet, and I really liked that performance. So yeah, I wish I had a little bit more to say about these three overall, because I did like them, but yeah, they weren't they didn't leave the biggest impression on me, but I thought they were pretty fun characters.
Okay. First off, Guido. I'm not that familiar with Brad Hawkins' work, but he does a very good job sounding like this gruffer boy, but he means well and he's trying his best. And I did like seeing him interact a little bit with the other characters, as well as when he finally gets the equipment, when he just lifts the dwarf up and just gives him this giant hug in gratitude. It was such a sweet, great moment for him. Caval is great because he is just this snarky, cocky leader who is trying his best. He feels like he's the leader because he drew the biggest straw, and that's why he's in charge, but he doesn't really know the best of what he's doing. And him and Natalie Hoover's Aaron probably made me laugh the most when they're running from the giant ant, and it's why the hell were you poking the fucking giant ant? It's I don't know, I was trying to get some experience. It's look, if we die, I'm gonna come back as a ghost, and I'm gonna haunt your ass. And it's
oh yeah,
there's a problem with that, because I'm gonna die alongside you, you idiot. And it's just, Natalie and Justin were so fucking funny in that moment. And when I first saw Natalie in episode 2, I just assumed she was going to be this super cute, super sweet, girly girl character. And then to see all three of them are much more tired veterans who have been at this for a long period of time and don't get the respect they deserve. They get such tiresome jobs, very little breaks. As somebody who has worked retail, I understood the feeling of working too many hours for too little payoff, and you could just feel all three of them were so fucking done, and I identified with them so hard because of that. Natalie Hoover also is just, you're right, I don't get to hear her that often as very aggravated, aggressive characters. So when she gets to be mad and pissy, it's hilarious. And just the face when all three of them are having this meal and interacting. But they're all very fun, enjoyable characters. They really work and mesh well with Rimuru's squad. And in general, they're a very fun addition to the show. I was not expecting to enjoy. And even then, like, they're very... I talk about how funny and how great their chemistry is together. When they ask Rimuru to turn into his human form, and they all bow and give their thanks to Shizue for everything that she did for them. I was like, oh, fuck. I was taking...
Fuck me up, fam.
I was taken aback. I was already fucked up, and that was just like, okay. Fuck. But,
Just
yeah,
twist the knife, why don't ya?
Brad...
Salt the wound.
Brad, Justin, and Natalie were a ton of fun for these small bit characters, but they left a pretty big impression on me for only just being there for a couple episodes.
No, Justin Cook and Brad Hawkins, I'm gonna do... Brad Hawkins as Guido, I'll do really quick, because he didn't leave the biggest impact on me. I thought he was good for his role. His character, unfortunately, didn't get to say as much. So, with that territory, it's kind of hard sometimes, and you just kind of have to, like, be like, oh, okay. Justin Cook as Caval was really interesting, because there were times where I couldn't tell it was Justin Cook, and then there was times like, oh yes, that is very much Justin Cook. And the scene where him and Natalie are running away from the ants just fucking destroys me. Just the way he goes, well, there's one problem in your thing. We're gonna both be dead. And just the sounds of him eating and him being, like, trying to be the leader guy and stuff. But the real big standout here is Natalie Hoover, who I swear they had her push her range to as far as they could when she was pissed. And it was great. And that's not something that you usually like to hear. You usually like to hear when you're watching a dub is when, like, you can kind of tell that, like, people are just going so hard that it comes off as almost unnatural. But if you've ever been that incoherently angry at somebody, you will know that your voice does that. And she was pissed. And that's... Oh, like, I kind of wish that this show was rated, like, if... Like, you know how the whole thing where, like, they always have threads of, like, if... Take a PG movie and make it PG-13, where do you put the singular fuck?
You think Aaron would be the one to drop the fuck?
I would have let Aaron drop the fuck. Drop the fuck! Fuck, 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 fuck. It's like dropping the bass, but a lot angrier.
Sonya Nevermind drops the F-bomb.
So, I can't really add on to what the rest of the other guys have said. I think they've all kind of nailed how we feel about Caval, Aaron, and Guido. So, with that being said, it's time to dial G for goblins.
Ah, yes. The poor, misrepresented, misinterpreted, and misunderstood race in the past season or two of anime. It's good to see a true, earnest, honest representation of the goblin culture and ideology. This show is the true... Okay, look, I wasn't gonna bring it up. Just the fact that this and Goblin Slayer came out literally the same season is so fucking fascinating.
Only one of these shows was good.
I'm not saying good or bad, I just find it funny where it's just like, one is like literal monster snarling evil creatures, and the other are basically like, I love all of you, you are my children, you are my son, and you are my daughter, and I will hug and protect everyone.
I have adopted 500 children. Don't worry.
That was really funny when he named the 500 goblins and just passed out for like a week.
Passed out for like 3 days.
When you're naming OCs and you're like, fuck it, I'm done writing forever.
It's like, okay, so if I can be real, I used to play Zoo Tycoon like religiously as a child. And let me tell you, I would theme animals to different series. It got really hard after, like, you have, like, lion number 58. And yes, by the way, lions bred like bunnies in that game if they were happy. My other favorite thing was if I wanted to destroy the zoo's reputation, I would gate the front of the zoo and let all the vicious animals out so they would eat the park guests.
I should probably say...
Singleton.
There's a lot of goblins in the show. Which ones specifically are we talking about today?
We are going to talk about the 3 goblins that matter the most. We are going to talk about Rieger, the son of the goblin chief, whose older brother went off and got killed by the direwolves prior to Rimuru showing up. Rigurd, who is essentially the leader of the goblin village, who kind of fails his way up in hierarchy. And then Gobta.
Pour one out for
Fucking Gobta. Gobta. Press F to pay respect for Gobta. Gobta is this one goblin who, when everybody evolves, he doesn't really change. And he's kind of the show's butt monkey. After I say who plays him, I'm going to make a really bad joke. So, playing Rieger is Derek Snow, playing Rigurd is Kent Williams, and playing Gobta is Ryan Reynolds. Derek Snow, you will know his characters such as Yagen Toshiro in Togenrambu Hanamaru and Dr. Danny in Angels of Death. Kent Williams, you will know his characters such as Hattori Selma in Fruits Basket and Sid Barrett in Soul Eater. Ryan Reynolds, you will know his characters such as Etoile in the Heroic Legend of Arslan. And that time, Zorome got reincarnated into a goblin.
Yep.
That's right, kids. It's everyone's favorite I fucked your mom on Xbox Live, but kicks is like a golden retriever. Zorome, the actual best character in Darling in the Franxx.
At some point, I'm just gonna start claiming copyright on my own jokes at this point.
And yes, Gobta probably also kisses like a golden retriever.
I mean, there's plenty of direwolves to practice on.
God damn it. I can't believe Gobta's a furry.
Oh boy, that did not go the way I intended that to.
Yiffing in the
It never
Franxx.
does, Andrew. It never does.
I lost control of that one really quickly. Let's move on.
It's the yiff of death.
Fuck.
Oh, boy.
It's just get that on my fucking carpet. Oh no, that was my drink. Oh, thank God it's water. Why? Why are you like this? Why?
Because you all enable me.
You're
That
not
we do.
wrong.
Yeah, of course we do.
I mean, we're obviously going to cut out the super dirty part of that, but I am not letting Yiff of Death die.
You know what? That's allowed to stay.
It's the Yiff of Death. Anyway, honey, if you may woo your way into talking about the goblins.
That's just gonna be a thing the whole episode.
A woo! By
right.
the way, I want this entire episode to end on a howl.
Okay. Let's see here. Derek Snow's Rieger, like, of the three, he probably gets, like, the least amount of speaking time, but I really liked his performance before and after his transformation. Like, he's a little bit of a wimp beforehand, and when he evolves, like, he's trying to figure things out, and it's a fun performance. Kent Williams is Rieger, though. Oh my god. Like...
Wimpy, wimpy, wimpy! Hefty, hefty, hefty.
Stealing my jokes
fuck.
now, are ya? Anyway,
I date you. I'm allowed to do that.
yeah, that is true. You have open license to my sense of humor. But, the first 2 or 3 episodes, like, he's just this wimpy old man, and, like, Kent Williams gives him that, like, that really weak kind of stammer, which I thought was really nice. And then, like, all the goblins get named, and he transforms into like, the big buff leader Rigurd, and, like, that's when the character really gets his chance to shine. Because he gets to flex, like, every time he speaks, just for no reason. Like, Pops, do you even lift? But, like, I really like Kent Williams' performance. And he actually gets a third transformation, or actually it would be a second, wouldn't it? Like, third form, second transformation. Like, after the Dwarven arc, when all the when more goblins join the village, and he gets promoted from, like, the chief to an actual king, and he evolves again. And he gets even gruffer, and that's, like... I really like that he gave each of the 3 forms a distinction, and that was... It was really good. Now, Ryan Reynolds as Gobta. It is probably one of my favorite performances of the show. Because Gobta, you see, given the way we were talking about the character earlier, he is the butt of a lot of jokes. A lot of jokes. And Ryan Reynolds never really plays Gobta into those jokes. Like, she plays him as earnestly as possible, and, like, the character comes out really likable by doing that. And, like, I gotta give props to that, and particularly, as we mentioned before, the fight scene with, Gabiru.
He just kicks. Fuck off, Goro! I am the true best boy and darling in the Franks now!
God damn it.
It's just like, oh crap, I gotta fight, Throws his spear as a diversion and just disappears into, Gabiru's shadow.
Pocket sand!
Pretty much. And just kicks him in the back of the head. It's great. Like, that scene was really fun, and Gobta is a really fun character. I liked all 3 performances. Solid job.
Okay, I'll start with Derek Snow and Rieger, because I don't really have a whole ton to say about Rieger. Because I did think his character was, like, pretty interesting in regard to, like, the whole meaning behind his character name. And how that ties into what happened with his brother. I thought that was, like, pretty interesting. But aside from that, the character was just, like, kind of there for me. He didn't really stand out to me as much as some of the other goblins. But I thought Derek Snow did a pretty fine job with the material he's been given so far. Kent Williams as Rieger has been very interesting. Mostly because it's been a good while since Kent Williams has played this kind of character. Like, I mean, it's really not the first time he's played, like, a really gruff or silly character. Like, if you've seen any of the, like, roles he's played in Yu Yu Hakusho, he has a lot of fun with that sort of thing. But I definitely haven't seen him do that sort of thing in a simul dub in a while, and it was a lot of fun to listen to. I really like the distinction between his, like, old man voice, where he sounds, very kind of, where he sounds very tired, and then when he transforms into the Goblin King, and he's, like, and he's a lot more swole and energetic. I thought that was pretty hilarious. And pretty much every line he utters while doing that voice is just, it's pure gold. And then Ryan Reynolds is Gobta. Little Gobta, the
little shit.
Everything about Gobta's existence just exists to be made fun of. But it's just so adorable you can't help but feel bad for him. It does feel kind of. It is kind of weird that with how chill Rimuru is towards, like, pretty much everyone in general, that Gobta's just like the one person where Rimuru is just kind of like whatever about, and I always think that's pretty funny. But it kind of helps that Gobta also just seems to have a really passive attitude about, like, basically everything. It's especially during, like, his whole fight with Gabiru, where he's kind of like, yeah, sure, whatever. And he doesn't feel particularly motivated until he's, like, practically threatened into it, and I thought that was pretty funny. And I especially just like the whole, revelation at the end of the fight where Rimuru is just like, wait, was Gobta actually genius this entire time? That one nearly killed me. But anyway, I really like what Ryan Reynolds has brought to the table. Like, it pretty much is basically if Zorome was a goblin, but actually amusing because, I mean, I didn't dislike Zorome, but like Gobta is definitely a lot more fun to me. So, yeah. Anyway, all three of the performances are really fun. Kent Williams and Ryan Reynolds in particular are definitely two of the most fun performances in this show, and they definitely bring a lot of energy to the table.
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay, so before I say what I'm about to say, I just want to make sure. Rieger is Derek Snow.
Yes.
Rigurd is Kent Williams.
Yep.
Yes.
So, of the two, would that mean that Rigurd has that big D energy going for him?
God damn it, Andrew.
Damn it!
That one felt good. That one felt good. Okay,
Just
on
from
to...
the back of class. See me after class.
Sure thing, Dad. Anyways, Rieger, Derek Snow is a lot of fun, and he goes from this very wimpy, sad little boy to a pretty respectable man in his community, and is a good leader, and he has a very cool bandana. He doesn't get to do as much, but I always like to hear Derek Snow do things, and it's fun to hear what he does with Rieger. Kent Williams is a ton of fun, especially with the distinction between before pre and post evolution. Because pre evolution, he is just this very old, tired, like wimpy man who can barely stand straight and so weak and tiny, and like you can tell like it sounds like his teeth are about to fall out of his skull. And then when he evolves, he is the most swole, manly man, like 8-pack green skin fathermucker in the guild, and it's great. And just the fact that Kent is playing both so distinctly is really a lot of fun, and he does a good job being this sudden village chief turned like he basically becomes the Goblin King at some point, which, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that just David Bowie at that point?
Get the fuck out of here! Get the goddamn fuck out of my house!
Principal's office.
Shit.
I want to hear Kent Williams say David Bowie now.
Okay, look. I'm about to make a really bad joke, but holy shit. Imagine if they put the Goblin Slayer in the labyrinth.
Jesus Christ.
Oh,
dude,
boy.
I would watch that death battle in a heartbeat.
The Goblin King versus the Goblin Slayer. And they both just end up making out at the end.
I'd watch it. Anyways, so now that that terrible image has been brought into my head, who the fuck are we kidding? Bowie'd totally be down for it. Anyways, Gobta. Ryan Reynolds is a ton of fun as this tiny little butt monkey who could, and I kind of envy the fact that he could sleep upside down for 2 days and just be undisturbed. I wish I could sleep that long. But he is this little butt monkey who just never evolved and never hit puberty, but he tries his best to be the best, and when he actually does get that really dumb, cool fight scene moment, and actually, when he survives Shion's cooking, and he basically dies, and gets something that even Rimuru doesn't have, which is poison resistance, and then he gets a shadow stealth ability and like knocks Gabiru out, and it's such a dumb fun moment, but then it's like, oh no, this dumb little potato head is cool now, and I love him. And Ryan's just tone of voice is this sassy little teenage child, and it works perfectly for Gobta, and it's so much fun to hear them. So yes, with all three characters, I could say that yes, all is good in the Goblin Hood. Peace.
Thank you. Somebody wanted us to work that into this episode.
You're welcome.
Dare I ask who?
I don't.
Yo, I know who it is. You'll figure it out with the later.
Okay.
So it's time to, Rieger. It's really hard because Rieger and Regurd, and it's something that even Rimuru puts out. I just put a D on the end of Rieger's name. That's how he did it. Naming your OCs with Rimuru. Derek Snow does a good job in this. This is very much what I more or less expect kind of out of Derek Snow's roles. I would say Dr. Danny is an exception, not the rule. So he was perfectly fine. I don't have super much to say on him. God, Kent Williams with anchor arms.
Oh God, are you gonna do the SpongeBob thing?
I used anchor arms once. Now I'm a jerk and everybody loves me.
Perfect.
He's just swole. He hung out with the Body Improvement Club from Mob Psycho.
Yes.
Please watch Mob Psycho 100.
Agreed.
Thank you, Jet, by the way, for buying me that, because now I can actually watch the dub. Crunchyroll. But no, Regurd is just such an interesting performance, because I don't think a lot of us assume Kent Williams can kind of do, like, sexy. Because Regurd's got a little sex appeal for some folks, and he's big and buff.
I mean,
and
Token Rambu is a thing.
Oh, that's right, because he's Taratachi.
But go on.
That's right, I can't believe my own boyfriend corrected me about Token Rambu. What the fuck?
What a world.
That's kind of hilarious, actually.
I can't believe I just got Token Rambu shamed by my own boyfriend.
First time for everything.
You know what? I'm not even gonna go for that low-hanging fruit. David Wald's not here.
He showed up for like 5 seconds in episode 2, and that was about it.
True, he did. But no, I think Regurd is such an interesting take because Kent Williams does go on like such an evolution, and I feel like as Regurd gets bigger, his voice gets like deeper and more Bishonen, as opposed to like old man voice. But God bless the fucking shit out of Ryan Reynolds in her heart. She is so entertaining as Gotaba, whose voice, thankfully, unlike any of the other goblins, never really changes. Like, even though she becomes a hopcop, becomes a hopcop, when Gotaba still sounds like a dumbass kid. Which is great, because Gotaba's a dumbass kid. And every time, like, he is probably, like, Ryan's performance as Gotaba is just such an interesting contrast to, especially Kent Williams and a lot of the other characters who kind of have, like, the more sultry or more adult voices, where the one thing I really want to compliment is that Ryan Reynolds is a fantastic little boy voice. And at the same time, I also want to get to hear her play adult female characters just to see what it would sound like. Which is just a thing, but I love every second of Gotaba's dumb face and Gotaba's performance and some of the noises that she has to make because Gotaba's being harassed. In this house, we stan one goblin and his name is Gotaba. Or Gobta. Mm-hmm. I call him Gotaba for some reason, but it's Gobta. But now it's time for the reason that we awoo tonight. Let's talk about the two best friends anybody could ever have, their faithful doggo companion, and a dragon that they shoved in their own stomachs. Because that's what you do when you need to. Ragna is the leader of the direwolves, who Rimuru actually kills his dad. And like, they actually have this really interesting part where Rimuru is just like, are you mad that I killed my dad? It's like, yeah, but we're cool now. And Veldora, who is the dragon that gives, essentially, Rimuru his immense aura and power. He's been imprisoned in a cave for 300 years by the great hero. But he's lonely, and nobody will come see him. And he's also tsundere, babababaka. To which, man, if you ever want to hear a really strange phenomenon, go listen to, like, I think it's Tatsuhiro Sakurai, if I'm correct in the Japanese?
No, it's not Takahiro Sakurai. He's showing up later.
Oh, that's why he's showing up later. That's why I thought it was him. But no, it's another.
I don't recall this.
I'll look it up right now.
I'm looking it up right now. Actually,
no, just continue. I'll look it up for you.
And essentially, if you ever wanted to hear a large man do the baba baba babaka thing, this is the show for you. So
Tomoaki Maeno.
Who I think is like a pretty big name Seiyu.
If I'm correct, I want to make sure that I'm correct as I'm looking this up, because this name looks familiar. He's Camu!
That's who it is! It's Camu from Mutafree! I knew I knew that name! Hey, Gigi!
Gigi's best boy, as well as Haruitsuki Abeno from Morosu Mononoke.
Who's the second best boy, the third best boy in that show, was behind the legislator and Fussy. No. So playing Slime's best friend is Tyson Reinhardt, and playing I don't want to get out of this cave Baka is Chris Rager. Tyson Reinhardt you will know as characters such as Tadakazu Tiyata in All Out and Kagiri in Carnival. Chris Rager you will know as characters such as Albert Dessler in Star Blazer Space Battleship Yamato 2199 and Star Blazer Space Battleship Yamato 2202, and Tetsu Sundegaya in Servamp, because that's a show that we remember. So, Roots of Justice, start us off.
Alright, so Tyson Reinhardt as I'm sorry, what was his name again?
Ragna?
I think it's Ranga or Ragna.
Ranga.
Okay.
Ranga.
Okay, yeah, because it was a whole play on the word storm. Because, you know, last name, everybody got the last name of Tempest, so. But,
I'm so sad that they just didn't name him Moon.
But I love how, like, Tyson Reinhardt plays Ranga basically like a dog. Like stereotypical dog. Like, he's just like, are you gonna throw the ball, boss? Kind of persona. Just like happy to see Rimuru, fiercely loyal. Like, it's great, and like playing that dog-like personality, it's great, and I really like Tyson Reinhardt's performance as him. Like, especially Megan brought it up, but the scene where Rimuru basically asks him, yeah, hey, I killed your dad, are you cool with that? And he's basically like, you know, you're really strong, and if I tried to fight you, you'd kill me, but that doesn't matter, because you gave me a name and a purpose, and I don't intend to. And I thought that was, like, really poignant and, like, really nice. And then, what can I say about Chris Rager playing a tsundere character? Like, what can I say?
Magical.
Like, it's not a thing I expected in the slightest coming from anywhere. But now that it's happened, I'm kind of happy. Because it is the funniest thing. And, like, I really like the scene at the end of episode, I think it was 7 or 8. Like,
the one with Ifrit in the stomach?
Yeah.
Yes, it was 7.
Okay. Where he's just like, yeah. Oh, hi, Ifrit. You wanna play? Kind of with that air of menace, and it's just hilarious. But, I really like both performances. They were great. I really want to see more of Veldora in the show. But it's great. They're both really, really fun. Thumbs up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I will start with Tyson Reinhardt as Ranga first. This one was a little interesting for me, having heard the Japanese track first and keeping up with the simulcast. Because in the sub version, Ranga had a very gruff and tough voice, which I guess kind of like fits the whole wolf image. And I do that pretty well. Whereas Tyson's performance sounds like a little lighter and a little bit more like a dog, which is kind of like a weird contrast. But I think both takes work pretty well, and I enjoy what I've heard of Tyson so far. He definitely gets a pretty fun level of energy across during all the comedic moments. And he definitely sounded intimidating enough during Rocker's introduction that I was able to buy into the character pretty well. And like Roots was saying, I did like that whole little bit after his whole clan gets wiped out, and where Rimuru was just kind of like, oh, like, are you, cool with the fact that I killed your dad? Okay, and Rangga's like a little torn up about it, but he respects Rimuru for having given him a purpose, and the whole survival of the fittest thing, and that was a little weird, but I thought that was handled well enough, and I thought it added a little bit of an interesting dynamic to the show. And then Chris Rieger as Veldora was that was a lot of fun, because it's definitely not the sort of thing you would expect Chris Rieger to play. I mean, it's not the first time he's done that sort of like big, gruff, and posing voice. But if you're mostly known for Hercule, it is kind of an interesting contrast compared to that. And I definitely like how intimidating it seemed initially. But then you find out that Veldora is actually just like a tsundere, and I thought that whole contrast was really funny, especially coming off of such a big, booming voice, and almost all of his lines were pretty hilarious. But at the same time, there was enough sincerity to his performance that you could buy into his and Rimuru's friendship almost immediately, and I thought that whole relationship was pretty touching, and I really hope Veldora gets out of Rimuru's stomach eventually, so they can just hang and be pals again. And, yeah, I'm done.
Alright, so, when it comes to Rangga, Tyson is very interesting. It sounds like very authoritative, gruff, animalistic at first, but then when he does start warming up to serving Rimuru, you can feel a lot more warmth and sincerity, but this sense of loyalty and strength and determination in his loyalty. And it's so funny to see him be this badass, cool magic dog, but also be this giant, big puppy whose tail wags are so powerful it knocks him off the fucking cliff, and that's just a great moment. And the show really didn't have to ask about, hey, how do you feel that I killed your dad? It didn't have to ask that, but it's just a much more interesting moment where it's like, it's not like the thought hasn't occurred to me. I do feel torn up to see, like, that you were the one that slayed my dad, but he was the one coming after you, and you gave me a new purpose. You made my pack and family grow stronger and gave us a new life when we probably wouldn't have survived. And I respect that more. And I think that's just very compelling. Like, Tyson's voice is very animalistic and charming. It's very simple, but it's sincere. And I also love the underrated delivery of when he's talking to Gabiru, and he's like, you know what? I'm not dealing with this. Gobta, fight. If he just like this comedic, he's mostly been like a straight-laced badass, and then he's just like, you know what? Gobta, get over here. Fight for my loyalty.
I'm gonna tear this bitch ass. I'm gonna tear this bitch ass up.
Fight for my loyalty. Have fun. And it's just, okay, that's some extra comedic levity. And speaking of comedy, Veldora, the strongest, most menacing motherfucker in this entire world, who is just a dragon who's been sealed up for several hundred years, who's been giving off all this magic aura, and basically keeping order in the forest of monsters. He's just kind of like this lonely dragon who just kind of wants some company, and when you see, he sounds menacing and scary and powerful, but also is believably like, no, wait, don't go. I want to talk. I want to hang out. It's been kind of lonely here, and you're my friend now, and now we're friends. And he's also kind of the first person to show Rimuru this respect of naming somebody and giving them a newfound purpose, because it all started with Veldora giving Rimuru his name, and that's kind of what starts this cycle of kindness and giving one sense of self. And it all starts with that friendship between a powerful dragon lord and a tiny little slime. And charming, and Rhaegar is just this booming voice who's larger than life, but is so sincere and earnest, and like I said, Tsundere, it's great. And when he's dealing with Ifrit, it's like, hey, that's my friend Rimuru. Don't fuck with him, because you gotta go through me now. And it's great, and Rhaegar's a delight. And I'm done.
I'm not... Veldora to Ifrit. I'm not trapped in here with you.
You're trapped in
here with me. It's always fun to do that. No, so Tyson Reinhardt as an actor is somebody I don't get to talk a lot about, and I think I've only talked about him like once on this entire podcast, and that was for Carnival, and I think I remember liking him, but it's also been like a year and a half since I recorded Carnival, so what the hell. But no, I actually really enjoyed him as Rangga, to which I told Andrew this story earlier, but I have a confession to make. Because I literally did not start watching this show until yesterday. Y'all are gonna laugh your ass off at this, but I legitimately thought that Rangga didn't speak at all. Like, I thought he had no spoken words. I thought it was literally going to be 12 episodes of Tyson Reinhardt barking and growling.
That's funny.
And he does a good job when he has to do the barks and growls and the awoos. But I think he comes off as growly, gruff, and doggy-like as you need to be when you're playing a giant wolf creature, and you also don't have to match that many flaps. Because I think they communicate with the wolves telepathically. Which is kind of actually badass if you think about it. But I genuinely like how, when he has to deal with Gabiru, how much he's just fucking done with this bitch-ass white boy. He's just like, really? Really, Karen? Do you want me to go back and get the manager? Okay, this is the manager. Fight him, manager. Take out Karen in her minivan. But I think that he did a really good job. I thought that he was very gruff, and at the same time, he was also, like, able to bring a little bit of cuteness out of Ragna, because you kind of want to cuddle the big dire wolf unicorn. With the star. He's a good dog. He's a very good boy. 13 out of 10 heckin' good doggo. And then, I don't have actually that much to say on Chris Rhaegar, because Veldora is just kind of only there for like an episode, and while I do appreciate this being, hey, Chris Rhaegar's not doing Mr. Satan again, and it was just kind of there for me, which, yay? Because I hope Veldora comes back as like a larger portion of the show. But I don't think that's going to happen. So I don't really have much to say there. So let's actually move on to our next group of characters. Sadness and Magic Siri.
Oh man, there's some interesting stuff to talk about with these two.
Yeah, Shizue is essentially... this is one of the things I also like about the show, is that this is a show where multiple people have been brought from another world, except for Shizue was by force. Shizue was a little girl in the Japanese, during World War II, who was going to die in the Japanese, the American air raids on Japan, where they were dropping the firebombs. Like, think Grave of the Fireflies, guys, for people who don't know what that is. She was forcibly summoned to this world by Christopher Waycamp, who we're unfortunately not talking about, but I hope he comes back because holy shit, villain Chris Waycamp. And basically was forced to become a weapon possessed by the demon Ifrit, who I think was played by Chris Guerrero. Shout out to you too. And forced to be his weapon. She also at one point set Macy Ann Johnson on fucking fire.
God, that was such a fucking good, scary
fucked up scene. And then the Great Sage, but essentially Shizue travels with the three of the travelers, and they have, eventually she ends up spending her last days with Rimuru, and eventually becomes absorbed by Rimuru, which gives Rimuru his their human form. The Great Sage is the ability of the Great Sage that lives inside Rimuru's head, who might as well be Magic RPG Siri. So, playing Shizue is one Miss Dawn M. Bennett, and playing the Great Sage is Mallory Rodick. Dawn Bennett you'll know as the legendary Tai Yamada from Zombieland Saga, and Ritsuka Tachibana in Dance with Devils.
Dick, I had my headphones in.
So, the legendary... what?
Yamada!
God damn it.
Okay, I'm very fortunate that her audio cut out while she was screaming, so I was okay.
And Mallory Rodek plays characters such as Solution Epsilon in Overlord and Ortfine Frederica von Elstadt in Hizetta the Last Witch. Fuck you, I did it.
Nice.
Princess Fuddrucker's back, boys!
Yay.
By the way, I specifically took that off because I wanted to get Andrew mad that I could do it and he couldn't on one try.
Clap,
Or
clap,
Fine?
clap. Let's move on.
Ortfine Fine Frederica von Elstadt. In Izetta, 2 bitches get laid. So. Awoo! Roots of Justice.
Alright, so I really like Shizu's little story arc. Like, I really like that it was sort of portrayed as she was kind of there against her will, but if she hadn't have been there, she'd have died. And like the whole thing of her dying at the end of episode 8, like that was really oof, where she's giving Rimuru her last wish, and like there's a lot of like great individual scenes in that story arc of her. And Dawn's performance was spectacular, by the way. Like, she's subdued. You could tell she played it with a bit of seniority, too, which was nice, considering the character, while she didn't physically age, time still affected her, and she taught children, she went on various quests and slayed monsters, and like she had a long fulfilled life, and that was really portrayed, and I really like that. I gotta say though, with Great Sage, it was really kind of a one-note performance for the first half of the episodes that are out so far, which is like episode 6. And then, all of a sudden, Great Sage gets a snarky personality to it. Which was... I laughed so hard when it gave Rimuru, like, a sarcastic response to something.
Or when it's like, eat it, shove it in this particular angle, and you will have a better chance of surviving this food.
And they're like, because the first time it happened, it was just Rimuru was saying something, and then all of a sudden, Great Sage just retorts, "Mm-hmm." And I'm just like, whoa. There's a personality to this thing, and it like.
She's becoming sentient!
Just like the actual series, which I unfortunately do not have plugged in right now.
Okay, that reminds me...
Be careful what you do. Bezos is watching you.
Okay, I know we probably shouldn't go too off topic, but I was watching like Gigix Anime in 2018 video. He did a Siri joke while I was over at Steph's place, and I heard Siri go off in her apartment. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then she told me later, oh yeah, my tablet has Alexa. No, it wasn't Siri, it was Alexa. It's like, my laptop has Alexa on it, and it heard him say something in that video and responded, and I almost shit myself. Like, what the fuck?
Alexa, go on a murder rant.
Alexa, Alexa, collect me the blood of the innocents. Alexa, kill the infidels.
Oh, all right. Let's reel this one back in now.
Yeah.
Alexa, find me an artisan that can help these goblins grow.
All right.
But yeah, the fact that Great Sage, like, over the second half of the court, just kind of gained a weird sense of humor, like, was just the weirdly funniest thing, and I really liked Mallory Rodak's performance. It was great. Both of them did really great. Thumbs up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll start with Mallory Rodak first, since I don't have, like, as much to say. I could, like, for the while, I couldn't tell who it was, honestly. And while I'm, like, super familiar with Mallory Rodak, I do generally enjoy her in the things I've heard her in, and, she was pretty fun as Great Sage. And like Ruth was saying, she didn't really have too much to do for the first few episodes, except be the exposition. The exposition fairy. But as later episodes progress, Great Sage does get a little bit more of a personality. And I do like some of her sarcastic responses to Rimuru's actions. I thought that was pretty funny. And I'm definitely looking forward to hearing more of it in the coming episodes. And as for Dawn Bennett as Shizue, I really enjoyed this one. Shizue is definitely a very interesting character, and one that was a lot more complicated than I was expecting. Obviously, if you've seen the opening song, you can kind of guess what her fate was going to be the second she came on screen. But even so, Dawn Bennett managed to make her arc feel compelling. Okay, and I really like the way the show presented. The way the show just presented her story of how she was forcibly sent from Earth during World War II, which definitely very interesting. They went with that angle, and how sympathetically they managed to portray her. And I do like what Ruth said about how there was a little bit of a seasoned attitude to her voice, where you could kind of tell that she was a lot older than her appearance. And I definitely didn't want to sell me on that character. And I just really liked a lot of her interactions with Rimuru's voice actor, who we'll get to later. It definitely did a lot to just make Shizu's arc feel a lot more believable to me. And I definitely did feel pretty bummed when she eventually kicked the bucket. Mm. All in all, I thought both of these performances were very well done.
Okay, so Mallory Rodak, I'm very familiar with her stuff from her character in Fairy Tail, as well as her role as Yuki Mori in Yamato 2199, so I've gotten very familiar with her. So as soon as I heard her, I knew exactly what to expect from her tone of voice, and this gradual progression from pretty stoic, robotic, world explanation narrator tour guide to snarky computer that's giving these responses in regards to the alcohol, or just being like, this is how you try not to die from eating this. And just the times where he asks something where it's like, well, if you were to send them away, they would all surely die right now. It's like, it's a great dynamic when Rimuru and the Great Sage start interacting with one another. And you actually see it, like, instead of just becoming, like, an internal thing, it's like an icon in the corner, like a saving icon. It's like, that's a neat little touch, and I like that. And Mallory's tone of voice really sells me a lot on that.
And can I just say, real quick, that Great Sage as a character is actually... It kind of fixed one of the big problems that there usually is of isekai shows, where...
Fix the exposition by giving, like, a dedicated exposition character that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a neat little thing. That does help that. And Shizue. Dawn Bennett, as an actress, is always somebody who I know she's capable of a lot of very different ranges. She's impressed me every time I get to talk about her, every time I get to discuss something new about her. And even with Shizue, I got something a little bit new in that she sounded a lot more, like, older and refined, like a classy warrior lady, but somebody who is also very sweet and kind in the way she's playfully interacting with Rimuru, how she finds this connection of somebody from Japan. That sweet moment when he is showing her what Japan became after the war. That, like, really sweet touching moment of showing that Japan, like, grew and survived the aftermath of war, being preceded by this hilarious moment of seeing through his eyes. Oh no, I forgot to close the port in my mind. Oh god, don't look. And she's just like, she's very pretty. It's like, you're great.
When your girl's okay with your fetish.
That's when you know you found the one. That's when you know you found the one. But the stuff about her past, when she's transported, the trauma of, like, the one friend she had burning them alive because that's inner programming. And when she's telling her life story. And when she's on her deathbed. Like, it's her deathbed. And you hear, like, how weak her voice is. And how much, like, she is not remorseful. She is at peace that she is telling her life story. The things that she is slowly giving away and inheriting her will and her identity to somebody else that she trusts and takes bond with, when she's slowly fading away and when she's dissolved and when, like, she's finally running in the dream and she sees those she's been running after before finally going back home to her mother in Japan who died, and just that touching moment of her running away to be with her one last time as she sort of fades into Rimuru. Dude, this is a funny show. It's amusing, it's touching, it's warm, but god, that one got me. And just Dawn's performance at the end is... You done good, girl. You done good.
Let's get Mallory out of the way, because it's obviously this is very much going to be focused on Dawn. I can agree with Roots that I find Mallory's performance fine, but I think she is kind of limited by what her character needs to do. And I feel like if she comes off any until Susan or Alexa here grows a personality and becomes sentient, she can't really do too much, or you lose the effect of it essentially being a magic Siri. Like, you can't go outside the binary too much, or you're going to lose the effect. And it's also it's a very similar performance for the Seiyu for the Great Sage as well, but I think Mallory does it well. But I want to give props to Dawn Bennett, who not only gets to play she basically gets to play Shizue through her entire life. She has to play the scared little girl Shizue. She has to play the sagely Shizue. She has to play the Shizue that's in pain. Like, Shizue as a character is just... Man, if there was a way to inject a heart into the show, that's how I think you do it in these types of shows. You don't have to be... Like, let's face it, Shizue has a very cruel fate. Shizue has gone through things, but the way that they put it up is that they don't, like, I feel like a lot of Isekai can be really mean-spirited with a lot of their characters, and while that does bring a lot of very good dramatic performances and stuff, I think the fact that Shizu's allowed to have lived a full life, and Dawn gets to play that full life to Shizue, really lends itself to her performance. You obviously have a woman who has seen a lot of things, who has lived through immeasurable trauma, but she's not malicious, she's not mean, she's just trying to live the best life that she can. And I think there's a lot of heart in Dawn's performance, and it really got me when she's telling her story to Rimuru on her deathbed, and I think one of the kind of cute moments is, I'm not a bad slime, slurp, because she learned it from another child that was forced to bring into this world, and that's how she bonds with Rimuru. And I think, to me, one of the things that really gets me is the way that they mixed and how soft Dawn speaks as she's dying. It's just almost, it's like a whisper of the last of her life that only Rimuru can hear, and it's almost hard to hear as you watch the show. And I think I want to give a lot of props to the mix team on that, and for Dawn, and especially for Kristen, that Kristen kept that scene so straight and so heartfelt. Where I think a lot of other times it's like, yeah, this is a comedy, but this is the part that's not funny, but sometimes we gotta inject punch into it, and I don't feel like they did, and I was like, good job, guys. And the thing that really gets me is the way that she goes from crying as an adult to crying as a little girl in her dream. Because Rimuru is like, give her a dream that she can live in forever. Because she's dying and he's gonna eat her. But Dawn really 100% knocked it out of the park. So, time to move on to our last character?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Yep.
Come at me, brah! It's time to talk about the reason we are all here, the reason why it is slime time. The one, the only, Rimuru Tempest. The titular slime that was reincarnated from Satoru... Is it Satoru Mikami?
I think it's Satoru Mikami.
Yeah, Satoru Mikami, who was a 37-year-old man who essentially saved his subordinate from being stabbed and dies himself and makes all these wishes and da-da-da-da. Also, I have no way to bring this up, but one of the things that I would like to point out to the credit of the show overall is that they actively do portray Rimuru as a 37-year-old man, because when he fantasizes about elves, he fantasizes about them in Legend of the Crit, like a Record of Lodoss War style.
He's not like imagining like modern fetish stuff. He's thinking of like 90s shoujo-ish like hot elves, and I respect that.
Get a man who's consistent in his fetishes. So, playing the human version of Rimuru, Satoru, is Jason Lebrecht, and playing Rimuru as we come to know them in the show is Brittany Karbowski. Jason Lebrecht, you'll know his characters such as Yato in Noragami, as well as Mutsunokami Yoshiyuki in Tokunabu Hanamaru. Brittany Karbowski, you'll know his characters such as Karen Tendo in Gamers and Blackstar in Soul Eater. And I got the right Karen this time.
Yay.
Because I fucked it up last time. Roots, a woo away.
Alrighty. So, not much to say about Jason Lebrecht's side of the performance, because he's only in, like, 10 minutes of the first episode and, like, a flashback here and there. But the one poignant thing of his entire performance is just the repeated, oh yeah, destroy my computer's hard drive, as he's dying.
Big mood.
Throw it into the bathtub.
It's the biggest mood.
And, like, his subordinate goes and does it. It's funny.
And then he's like, when I have a son, I'm naming him after you.
And, like, the best part about that is as he's dumping the hard drive into the bathtub, like, there's a little warning in Japanese, yeah, don't do this.
Don't do this at home, kids.
Now, moving on to Brittany Karbowski's side of it, like, I really dig the complexity of Rimuru's character. It's kind of a weird thing to have to play, like, an amorphous blob, basically. Because in that first episode, Rimuru basically has to rediscover how to do just about everything. How to move, how to see, how to hear, and just...
How to poop.
Well,
Kind of.
Slimes don't have to poop. They just absorb every aspect of whatever they eat.
Kind of like how a wizard used to make their poo disappear.
God damn it, JK.
Oh, God. This episode's already gonna be dated the moment it comes out. All these...
But that's half the fun.
All these specifically early January memes we're throwing out here. But anyway...
There's a fucking steamed hams joke in the Devilman episode. Fuck off.
Touche.
It's a goblin specialty.
But
steamed hams.
But in any case, like, as Rimuru basically grows and develops and, like, gains powers from monsters, gains a human form, starts mixing and matching powers together to make new ones. Like, you can tell Brittany Karbowski is making an active attempt to grow the character as the story progresses and like the character arcs shift. Like it's really nice. And God, the stuff between Rimuru and Shizue is like it's so good, especially when he melds into her mind and shows her how Japan has progressed, and that was so good. And which, on the side note, when at the very beginning of that scene, when he shows her the computer that boots up, and then there's like elf porn that he desperately tries to hide, and Brittany Karbowski is panicking about that. That was absolutely hilarious. Like, she plays Rimuru with such high energy, and then can easily tone it down when things start to get serious. I really like Rimuru and Brittany Karbowski's performance. Thumbs up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I guess I'll go. So Brittany Karbowski is one of my favorite voice actresses, and this one was definitely within the general framework of her character range, so I wasn't like super surprised to see she was cast here, and I'm very glad she was. I like how well she manages to shift between Rimuru's enthusiasm about, all the crazy fantasy world stuff they encounter, and also some of Rimuru's snark whenever dealing with characters like Gabata, or, just Rimuru's generally tired attitude about anything that feels like too much work. Especially the way Rimuru just tries to pawn off jobs on other people, I always find that to be pretty funny. And it definitely makes it easy to believe that Rimuru used to be a middle-aged man. And while Rimuru's completely serious moments are a little rare and in between, Brittany manages to handle a lot of those really well too. And that whole bit we keep talking about in episode 8 where Rimuru and Shizue kind of reminisce about Japan, that was like a particularly standout moment for her, especially since the chemistry between her and Don Bennett's performance. It just really helped to sell the idea that these two were kind of wayward souls adapting to a world that wasn't really, it's not really the world they came from. And it kind of made their immediate connection feel a lot more believable. While I wouldn't quite rate this as my favorite Brittany Karbowski performance in 2018, it was definitely my favorite among the characters she played, and her delivery here was very consistent. However, I do have one major gripe here, and it's actually not about Brittany's performance, but rather some of the dialogue she was given with Kristen's adaptive script. Basically, my issue is that in the dub, a lot of Rimuru's lines during comedic scenes is, it spots up in a lot of internet slang and, occasional meme references. And while I assume that this was probably, meant to be a character tick on Kristen's part, since, Rimuru is the only character who sounds this way, and I guess it was probably done in an attempt to, make Rimuru sound distinct from everyone else, since, Rimuru is from Earth, and everyone else is not. And so I thought it worked well in that sense, but my problem is that I just kind of don't think it really fits the character. Because while we don't spend a ton of time with Rimuru in Rimuru's human life, also I didn't really talk about Jason Lebrecht here, but I did enjoy what little we got with Jason Lebrecht during his death scene. I thought, he managed me to make pretty terrible. He managed to make me feel pretty sorry for Satoru, even though he was only really around for 10 seconds. But Jason did what he needed to there, and I felt very sorry for him during his whole demise. But anyway, while we didn't get a whole ton of time with Satoru, what we did get tells us that for the most part he was a regular middle-aged dude. Sure, he's probably played a few video games in his lifetime, and he didn't really have much romance in his life. But we're definitely given the impression that he was, just like your average 30-something-year-old guy and not necessarily a nerdy otaku. And that's certainly kind of reflected in Rimuru's, general level of maturity whenever Rimuru's, dealing with conflicts and stuff. But then I'm kind of taking the extra step to make a lot of his lines sound nerdier or something, something millennials would say. It kind of gives more the impression that Rimuru is an otaku, and it just felt a little too out of character for me. It's not a total deal breaker, and I do think Kristen handles a lot of Rimuru's serious moments well enough that Rimuru doesn't feel like a completely different character for me. But it was a problem for me while watching the dub, and if I'm gonna be honest, it kind of made me lean a little bit more towards the subtrack. So I like Brittany's performance. I don't really like a lot of the dialogue she's given, but it is what it is, I guess. And I'm done.
Okay, interesting. Alright. So, Rimuru Tempest, Brittany Karbowski, is effectively the heart and soul of the show for a character that technically doesn't have a heart or a soul, if we're being real here, because it's a slime. But there is a lot. There's a lot on display in regards to what Brittany Karbowski has to work with for this character. There is so much in terms of comedic effect, in terms of quizzical learning about the world, interacting with other characters, learning about themselves, learning about the world, interacting with characters around them, realizing that they are overpowered and ignorant about how overpowered they are. There is so much to Rimuru Tempest as a character. And everything that Brittany Karbowski is... Like, as soon as I heard Brittany Karbowski, I'm like, this is a perfect fit for Rimuru. But you can tell that Brittany is giving her 100% when she plays Rimuru as a character. And it is fantastic. She is hilarious. She is interesting. She is compelling. She is action-packed. She does these really good action lines. She can make me feel emotional things. The scene where she's with Shizue is a delight. Rimuru is just this interesting character that I think about is the heart of the show, because there's a lot of other isekai which is about characters effectively living their, like they say people are nice people when they transfer, or it's like, oh, they're otaku, but they have their best interests at heart while they're indulging in their fantasies. And while Rimuru is still kind of indulging in a fantasy, Rimuru's goal is bringing others together. Which is interesting because it makes me think of, like, his worker life. He was always used to being, like, the pushover, but he himself seemed to enjoy, like, bringing others together, even though he himself had trouble connecting with others. Like, he enjoyed that he was able to bring, like, his kohai and a girl together, but he himself has always had trouble connecting with others. And I see a lot of that in his ability to connect the monsters in this world together and protect them. And it's just a really nice change of pace that this is just this... I've seen the show referred to as, like, the anti-Overlord, and I can kind of see it. There's a lot to say about Brittany Karbowski. Everything she says is fucking hilarious. Some of the things that she gets to say, I actually think a lot of the things she gets to say throughout the entire dub, like, whether you think it fits or not, it makes me laugh, and it's just so fitting. Like, in this kind of show and this kind of character, it works. It never feels like it's overstepping itself too much, and I always get a kick out of the way Rimuru interacts with the world around them. And just the script, the character, there is so much in what Rimuru is offering, and I'm just so impressed by the entire package. I think everything's firing on all cylinders, and this is probably one of Brittany Karbowski's, like, most complex characters, period.
Okay, so I can't add more than what they've already been said. Just to get Jason out of the way, Jason did a good job being the, I actually kind of really liked Jason as Satoru, because he was kind of the nice guy, like, hey, yeah, my coworker's here to brag about his new girlfriend, and they're gonna take me out and butter me up, bada bada bada. And then I like how he dies whining. And one of the things I really appreciate was the really well done transition between his voice into Brittany's voice as Rimuru. That being said, one of the things I really appreciate about Brittany Karbowski's performance as Rimuru is that you can hear the absolute passion that she has for this character and this role. And that is something that is really, really, really hard to fake when you're listening to a dub. So just hearing how much fun Brittany's having is really, really interesting to me, and a good reflection on how they feel. I do kind of agree with Jet a little bit that sometimes the writing can kind of make... The writing comes off as a little bit too forced, maybe, for certain situations. While the lines can be very funny out of context, it's just... It's sometimes, like... It's, again, like I said, you have to toe that line, especially in a show like this, because the last thing you ever want to do with a dub is date it. I don't think Slime has done that. Thank God Slime has not done that, because I want this dub to be passed on to people. Mm-hmm. But I think the guys have kind of said a lot of what I want to say, so I don't think I could say much more.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For what it's worth, like for all my complaints, like I don't think my problem with the script would necessarily date the show. It's just more my problem with how the character sounds specifically.
Okay.
Yeah, and for me, like, there's a lot of times where I was like, oh my god, please don't let this, like, especially because I watched the sub. The one thing I would say is I wish Rimuru's voice was a little bit more androgynous to me. But it's not bad. That's just a minor nitpick, is that, like, as a human, I wish your voice was a little bit more androgynous because you have no secondary sex characteristics. But that's just me. Anyway, final thoughts, because holy shit, we've been here longer than I thought.
Alright,
We're actually making better time than I thought, too.
Given the amount of characters we had to go through, we are actually making better time than I was expecting.
Yeah, I was expecting this honestly to be like a 3.5-hour episode.
So let's wrap this up in under 3.
Let's do it. Alright, so Isekai is kind of a really weird genre where a lot of the elements are kind of not so fun when you look at it under the microscope. But that time I got reincarnated as a slime, it does some creative things to avoid that. And this may be one of my favorite isekai shows since maybe Inuyasha. Which, God, I still find it kind of funny how many of the tropes of isekai were basically appropriated from shoujo, but that's another story for another time. As for the dub, it's very solidly constructed. As I said before, casting is wonderful. Even the people we haven't talked about who will probably play more prominent roles later on in the series.
I want to know who's going to play that, like, twin-tailed pink girl in the credits. She looks like she's fun.
Yeah. But it's a very fun dub. It's not something I probably would have given dubbies to, but it's a nice, comfy, well-crafted dub. So, like, everybody involved, you're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Okay, for me, I mean, I heard interesting things about slime for a while in regards to isekai in general. Mostly because I kept hearing that it was a lot different than other isekai stuff, and it definitely is. Like Megan said a little earlier, a lot of isekai stuff does tend to come off as pretty mean-spirited, whether intentionally or otherwise. And it's really nice that Slime is just an all-around really pleasant show. Like, the characters are very nice and wholesome. Rimuru's just like this really nice person who wants to help people and achieve world peace. And it's just a really fun time. I like a lot of the jokes. I like a lot of the characters and the dynamics. And I really like a lot of the writing, and specifically how well they manage to make character moments just have a lot more punch than you would ever really expect from an isekai thing. And yeah, I've just been having a lot of fun with this show. As for the dub, it's an overall pretty solid production. A lot of the performances here are on point. The script works well enough, though, again, I do kind of have my nitpicks with how Rimuru sounds. And while I personally kind of lean a little bit more towards the soundtrack, if you're looking to watch the show in English, this is a perfectly fine dub, and I think I'll have a pretty good time with it.
So, yeah, that time I got reincarnated as a slime. Look, isekai is a genre that I am very mixed on, and there's going to be a lot of shows that are continuing to come out that I continue to be very mixed on, but I think this has helped me solidify what I would actually care for my personal taste in regards to an isekai show. I want something that does not take itself too seriously. I want something with a little bit of charm and color and does not look like a gray, edgy color palette, or does not, like, self-masturbate its own video game otaku references 24/7. This is just, like, there are references here and there, but it does not feel too grossly indulgent, but it also feels fun, charming. There's drama and character growth, and this world is compelling. It's interesting. Its characters are unique. They grow and learn. The world changes, and it feels like the goal of this show is much more earnest and kind-hearted than I would expect from shows of this genre. It's fun, but it has a heart of gold that I kind of respect a lot. And I really enjoy, and I wish I could see more out of this genre. Something that was fun and earnest, without being, like, too... Like, I understand there's an audience for, like, the edgy stuff, but as I've grown over, I've just grown more detached from wanting that. It's like, there's dark shit in the world. I want something that doesn't remind me of that. But yeah, this is just a pleasant, fun, enjoyable show that I have a lot of fun watching, and I can't wait to watch more of. The dub is a ton of fun. This is a huge ensemble cast. I love the characters. I love how they sound in English. I love some of the goofy performances, the eccentric performances, and the emotional performances from the direction and the writing. Cliff, Brittany, Kristen, you're all doing fantastic work with this. Like, I'm not gonna say this is, like, the greatest thing I think y'all have done, but this is a fun time and an enjoyable experience that I think y'all are doing a solid job with, and I'm glad I could talk about it.
Yeah, I really agree with a lot of things. I am somebody who, I enjoy a lot of, like, darker stuff. Like, hello, I like Tokyo Ghoul, like the shit in a Tokyo Ghoul, and that's about one of the most mean-spirited, dark edgelord things on this fucking planet. I like that. I do enjoy that stuff. To me, the one thing that I really like about Slime is that a lot of contemporary isekai have elements that are just really just something I don't want to see characters go through. I know I am a fan of another show where the basic premise starts out like that, but that show quickly abandons that aspect of the series and instead actually focuses on the character in that predicament's growth, and she is the main character, and that is not something I have seen an actual isekai have the goddamn nards to actually fucking do, because I'll admit that sometimes as a female anime fan watching a lot of isekai, it very much comes off as a boys club type of thing in contemporary sense, and that's something I really enjoyed about that time I got reincarnated as slime. Like, nobody's stronger than somebody else because they're a guy. Like, essentially your character is a sexless slime who, and it's a lot of fun, and the writing's a lot of fun, and I think the dub is really cute, and I think the dub is really fun for a lot of people who want to sit and have a good laugh and just enjoy characters. And no matter what language you watch that time I got reincarnated as a slime in, you're going to have a good time. Like, is that time I got reincarnated as a slime gonna, like, create an entire new subgenre of isekai, or is it gonna, like, blow the world, like, off its feet? Maybe? I don't know. But the thing is, I like getting to come, now at least, because I've been holding off on watching it until we recorded this, I enjoy the fact that, like, once a week, I'm going to, if I need to, I can just turn this on and have a good time after I've watched something that's maybe a little bit edgy. Or if I've watched something that's, like, I didn't like the first episode of, and I just want to put on something like, hey, I enjoy this. So, props to the cast and crew. With that being said, if you want to watch that time I got reincarnated as a slime, if you want to watch it in the subtitles, you can head it over to Crunchyroll. If you want to watch it in English, you can watch it over on Funimation. As of the time of this recording, there is no home video release slated, and it most likely will not be slated until later this year, as of the time of this recording. If you like anything that we do, we're the Dub Talk Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. If you like us and you like the things we do, you can always buy us a coffee. We have a link down in the description below. Guys, quickly run through who the fuck you are so we can go the fuck to sleep.
I'm Roots of Justice. You can find me on Twitter at Roots of Justice. Mainly retweet cute animal pics. Occasionally talk, like, general entertainment stuff. It's a good time. You should come on down. Also, I think the moral of this episode is, Japan, get on that plus-size elf adaptation. Come on, just do it. Get on it.
Okay, that did not go the direction I was expecting, but it's gonna happen. It's gonna be great.
Okay, as for me, you can find me on Twitter at DivineNigga. That's where I'll usually be posting about cartoons or anime or just ranting about random things. You can also occasionally find me on my blog, Animation Infinity, where I will occasionally write things. This season, and I'm attempting to do episode reviews for The Promised Neverland, so that's gonna be pretty fun. And yeah. You can also find me on another podcast, Surreal Resolutions podcast O&A, where we just kind of shoot the breeze, talk about anime news.
Alright, my name is Andrew, aka Classy Spartan. You can find me on Twitter at MangaMan9000. I'm also a moderator over on the Funimation forums and Discord, so if you want to hang out with me there, you can find me there. And I too am also a regular on Surreal Resolutions podcast O&A, where we talk about anime news and the like. So yeah.
Alright, and I am QueenEra2. You can follow me at Twitter at QueenEra2, where I shitpost and all that fun junk. Yeah, that's about it. That's all I got. I shitpost lately. All day, every day. Anyway, with that being said, gentlemen, it has been an honor. I can't believe we all got slimed.
Oh, we got slimed real good, girl.
You can't do that on television.
God, what would you do?
I wish I could do Shion on television.
Andrew!
What?
Corner.
You would do the same for your flaming ogre boy too.
Why would I do that when I have Roots of Justice right here?
Okay. Okay, now you're putting me in a corner. Look.
Figure it out, Andrew. Do you have the guts?
I got the glory.
Are you a wild and crazy kid, Andrew?
Damn right.
I'm making a bunch of Nickelodeon live-action game show references. With that being said,
I would like to explore Shion's legends of the hidden temple.
God damn it!
Andrew,
turned it back
this is
around.
A round room. Now go pee in the corner.
Okay, Steph, if you're listening to
Andrew, you are only allowed to go into the legend of... You are only allowed to go into Shion's Legends of her Hidden Temple only if you can get past the Shrine of the Silver Monkey.
You can never find the Shrine of the Silver Monkey.
The Shrine of the Silver Monkey. Anyway, on the count of 3, guys, because I want to end this on a big awoo.
Okay.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Good night!
Sorry, it's late. I can't be loud.
Good night, kids! No taku on, my friends.
Good
Oh,
night.
the silver monkey is the clitoris. I get it now. Good night, everybody.
敗北も勝利も大くらい